Good evening, good morning, good night, good afternoon, wherever you're watching this transmission. It is I, Mike Martins, your housing guru discussion aficionista. Welcome to my very what are they calling me down under? They're calling me down under, they're calling me uneducated or unintelligent. Your unintelligent housing discussion segment of trends in the housing market. Today is the 29th day of August, 2018. August, September, October, November. 4 months left in the year. What is happening? Zeno is in the comments. Hello. Comments are going to start rolling in soon, guys. Jasmine checking in from Vancouver. Jeff O'Toole in the house. We're going to have a really good show tonight, guys. Trends in the housing market. Owen, my man Owen isn't in bed yet. Owen, aren't you going to sleep, buddy? I thought you got to go to bed tonight, man. Anyways. Okay, guys, I got a lot of really good articles. Florida is crashing. Oh, yes, southwest and southeast. Well, it's usually southeast Florida that crashes first, then it heads to the west. I did live in Florida for 5 years, so I lived in Miami, so I know. So we have a very special Miami edition today. Oh, usually it starts in Miami. And it's usually Miami that gets hit the hardest, because Miami is usually one of the cities that get pumped up really fast, right? Nice weather, beaches, inexpensive property. You could buy something really nice down there for about $70,000. So anyways, let's go to our first article here. Once again, guys, trends in the housing market. I want to thank everybody. So someone's saying I'm on sale data. I'm on cell data. Won't be long. So someone's using cell data to watch me here on their cellular phones. Try and jump on a Wi-Fi. Go get a coffee at Starbucks or something. Go use their Wi-Fi before they go out of business. Anyways, okay, so anyways, let's do this, guys. Remember, guys, today is the 30th of August, 2018. Wow. For most of the world. It's still the 29th in the Western Seaboard. Mike Martins. And I got some really good stuff I want to share with you guys. So let's kick off this first story, guys, before I get to the comments again. These 10 cities are on the brink of serious housing crisis. Oh. Let's see what's going on. So these are American cities, guys, not to forget. The epic housing bubble and crash of the first decade of the 2000s is receding into history. It's like it never happened. It's like going back into let's continue. However, remnants of the havoc it wrought can still be found in many cities. Worse, many places showing some unrevving signs of the housing crisis on the horizon. A recent housing study analyzed more than 50 major U.S. cities to determine which places are suffering from the worst housing troubles. While affordability issues are usually the most obvious sign of impending housing crisis, this study looked at subtler underlying indicators sourced from Zillow, such as percentage of homes with mortgages and negative equity. That's the key. Who's underwater, people? Who's underwater? Total number of homes with at least 90 days late on their mortgage payments. That's an R9. That's huge, guys. That gets sent to the once the payments don't get made, it gets sent to the next level, right? Negative equity delinquency rate. That's horrible. And homeowner vacancy rate and rental vacancy rate. In major cities across the country, the number of percentages of homes that are underwater. Underwater, guys, means basically you owe more than what the house is worth. So let's say I buy this pen for $10 and I try to sell it back for $12 or $15, okay? But the problem is it's only worth $5 now. So it's actually worth less than what I bought the damn thing for. So it's underwater. In Chicago, America's third largest city, the population of about 2.7 million, close to 70,000 homes are underwater. Somebody was in the comments in Chicago. Oh, somebody last few days ago was from Illinois, and they were telling me that Chicago is turning into a poop show there. Wow, I gotta get him on Skype. Guys, add me on Skype if you want to be on the show. My Skype name is Mike Martins 1980. Mike, Martins 1980. Add me on Skype, please. Okay, in Chicago, America's third largest cities of population 2.7 million, 70,000 homes are underwater on their mortgage, amounting to nearly a quarter of the homes with a mortgage. And despite those alarming stats, Chicago isn't the city in the most potential danger. The most imperiled city, however, is actually Newark, New Jersey. My aunt lives there. The city has significantly fewer homes in negative equity, around 5,000, but Newark is also much smaller than Chicago. Consequently, Newark is almost a third of its homes in negative equity, and a quarter of them are at least 90 days late on their mortgage. Increasing negative equity and vacancy. Many major cities just don't have high rates of negative equity. The percentage of homes underwater has actually increased year over year. Birmingham, Alabama is a prime example, seeing its proportion of underwater homes go from 19 in Q4 2016 to 30% to Q4 2017, and 11% year-over-year rise. High homeowner and rental vacancy rates also plague many of these cities. Birmingham has one of the highest rates of rental vacancy. Wow, 12.7%. Another deep south city is New Orleans, follows close behind with an 11.6 rental vacancy rate. It also suffers from high homeowner vacancy too, though Toledo, Ohio is even worse. Okay? Top cities in the most danger of housing crisis. Okay, guys, here are the top cities right now. Number 10, New Orleans. New Orleans. Total number of homes underwater, 5,418. Percentage of home with mortgages with negative equity, 13%. Percentage of homes underwater, YOY change, yo-yo change, 2.4 points. Cleveland, Ohio, total number of homes underwater, 13,656. Wow. Percentage of homes with mortgages and negative equity, 30%. Percentage of homes underwater, yo-yo change, 1.6%. Memphis, Tennessee, total number of homes underwater, 14,195. Percentage of homes with mortgages in negative equity, 17%. Percentage of homes underwater, yo-yo change, 1.7%. Columbus, Ohio, total number of homes underwater, 8,908. Percentage of homes with mortgages with negative equity, 26%. Percentage of homes underwater, yo-yo change, 3.7%. Baltimore! Oof. Total number of homes underwater, 25,313. And Baltimore is turning into a ghost city just like Detroit became. Percentage of homes with mortgages and negative equity, 30%. Percentage of homes underwater, yo-yo change, 5.2%. Number 5, Detroit. Total number of homes underwater, 4,964. Percentage of homes with mortgages and negative equity, 38%. Percentage of homes with YOY change, 1.6%. Chicago, total number of homes underwater, 69,390. Percentage of homes with mortgage negative equity, 22%. Percentage of homes underwater, yo-yo change, 0.7%. Number 3, Birmingham, Alabama, total number of homes underwater, 8,411. Percentage of homes with mortgages and negative equity, 30%. Percentage of homes underwater, yo-yo change, 11%. Toledo, Ohio, total number of homes underwater, 12,285. Percentage of homes with mortgages at negative equity, 26%. Percentage of homes underwater, yo-yo change, 2.2%. And here comes the big one. Newark, New Jersey. Total number of homes underwater, 4,978. Percentage of homes with mortgage in negative equity, 32%. Percentage of homes underwater, yo-yo change, 5.2%. Woo! And this is the full report of 54 most dangerous cities to have a housing crisis. So, guys, okay, I'm not going to open every page to see one city at a time. This is a big deal, guys. This is a huge deal that you have no idea. And Miami's not even here. And Miami's been crashing all this week. Miami's been in a lot of problems right now all this week. Okay, so let's keep going. Back to the comments. Okay, Mike. Let's do this. Not so rosy in South America. No, of course not. Mr. A-Team says, I'm on 300 megabytes from Shaw. That's horrible. And then Zeno says, my brother bought at the tippy top of the market. He will now be underwater on his mortgage. Who wants to pay for something less than what you bought it for? Where that's worth less than what you bought it? Okay, the only thing I could accept, because it's been like that since I've been born, is a car. You buy a car, you drive off the lot, you lose value. That's acceptable because it's been like that since I was born. I think it's been like that since the time of Moses, to be exact. Then Jeff O'Toole says, underwater means nothing unless you need to refinance or you lose your job. Very true. But who wants to pay for something that's worth less than what they bought it for? Jeff O'Toole says, why do you think people are deathly afraid of a recession? Will kick off of a snowball effect on the housing market. Canada, Van are two, and Toronto are crazy vulnerable. Yeah, we're going to get to Toronto and Vancouver soon. Mike, do you have an article I sent you in the email? No, I didn't get no email from you, Owen. I swear to you I did not get an email. I looked. You never sent me an email. And Oates is in the house there. What's up? And then Gunnar from Australia is in the house. And Oates is rocking suit. Mike looks good. Gunnar saying buy silver. Yeah, I'm going to do a silver show for you guys on one of the Mike in the Nights. I'm going to get a silver stacker on the woo! Mr. A-Team sent me $5. I'm taking that to Mexico, dude. And I'm buying a margarita on you. Anyways, thank you so much, guys. Okay. Let me tell you guys something. What was I going to say? I totally forgot. It was really good. Okay, buy silver. Yes, I'm going to get a silver stacker on the show who's been stacking silver and making silver videos for like 10 years now. And talking about the intrinsic values of money and stuff. I'm going to show you guys some of the silver bars I have, all the different types of silver that I own. And silver is very undervalued. And it's very important. I'm going to explain to you guys how important this is. Let's pretend that this stack of card protectors here, that thickness, that's how much silver there is on the planet. Let's pretend. And this is how much paper certificates you have on the planet that tell you that you've bought silver. So, of certificate papers that show, basically, hey, you know what? Yeah, here's your silver on paper. Come and pick it up whenever you need it. This is how much paper silver certificates are on the planet stacked up. And this is how much silver there is on the planet. So there's more paper certificates for silver that you own silver bonds. And this is how much silver there is on the planet. This is a big problem, people. This is a very big problem. You have no idea how big of a problem this is. And the same thing with gold. Low Roller Scratcher says, what's your tips having your own apartment for the first time? What should I do to... Okay, what's your tips on your own apartment first time? Well, make sure you put down a healthy down payment. Mike Hecker's in the house. Make sure you put it very healthy. Put down 40% if you want to buy. I say not to buy now. I've had guys on the phone last night, the night before. I've had people on the show all this week that have been coming on the show. They've been saying the same thing. Right now, don't buy. If you're in Sydney, don't buy. If you're in Melbourne, don't buy. If you're in Auckland, don't buy. If you're in London, don't buy. If you're in Toronto, don't buy. If you're in Vancouver, don't buy. If you're in Los Angeles, don't buy. If you're in Seattle, don't buy. If you're in New York, don't buy. If there's Miami, don't buy. There's a lot going on right now. So David Kennedy says there's 254 paper ounces to every metal ounce. There's a lot of paper out there, people. Then Mike Hecker is saying, this man knows what he's talking about. No, I don't. I'm just winging it. Hopefully, I might get something right tonight. Yeah, you know, when I go out, I gotta dress. I gotta take off my jacket, sometimes my shirt and tie, because people might actually take me serious. Okay, let's move on to the next article. Canada's fastest growing real estate prices aren't in Toronto or Vancouver. Huh? So, guys, I'm trying to get somebody on the show from Montreal that could give us a boots on the ground look. Let me see if I could get give me one sec, guys. I'm just gonna check here if I could find. Someone just added me on I got someone just add me right now on Skype, and I just want to see if it's that realtor that I want to talk to. Okay, so yeah, Stephen Thomas is messaging me, say first large bank interest rate hike. I might get him on the show later if he's around. I don't know who this is. I don't know who this is. And I got somebody else in Toronto that wants to be on the show. And I got somebody in London that wants to be on the show too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and set up a panel where I could get multiple people on the phone at the same time. I don't know what software I have to buy for that. But there's one guy in Vancouver that wants to be on, who's the housing, my Mr. X. Then I got somebody in Toronto that wants to be on. I got somebody in London. I got someone in Sydney. I got somebody in Melbourne. I got somebody in Perth. And then I got somebody else in Los Angeles. And one person in Miami. And if we could get a panel going on, it's really good to have a panel so we could know what's going on intertwining with all these markets and how they're all following the same patterns. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Watson Estates, guys. Don't forget to check his channel out. Watson Estates, read this article today. Wonder if Ottawa is going to get smacked with foreign buyers tax hike like we did in Toronto. Justin S. is in the comments. So, guys, don't forget to check out Watson Estates. He's got his own channel. He's a real estate agent, and he knows what he's talking about when it comes to buying and selling. Check him out. And then Justin S. I'm going to get Watson Estates on the show, too. He's got his own channel. I'll plug him. If you want to add me on Skype, please add me on Skype. It's Mike Martins 1980. So let's move on. So this is what's happening. Canada's fastest growing real estate prices aren't in Toronto or Vancouver. So remember, guys, everyone's leaving the GTA and Vancouver and moving to small towns. I'm one of those statistics. I moved from a big city to a small town here, and now I'm running for city council here in town, and I built my own business, and I mean, it's all on YouTube. You can watch it. It's all documented. And, yeah, more opportunity. Big fish in a small town is better than small fish in a big town, right? Canada's small cities seem to be catching FOMO. Canada's Real Estate Association, CREA, numbers show large cities are seeing price growth taper. Meanwhile, smaller real estate boards are seeing real estate price growth outpacing major cities. Do you remember the article I read for you guys from Prince Edward Island where they're seeing more homes, more builders, more construction than they've ever seen in the last, like, 25, 30 years? Like, unheard of? Yeah. Oates says, I will join the statistics when I move to Merritt myself. Oates is looking to move to Merritt himself. Oh, it's gonna be huge up here, man. He's gonna lay the tile in my house. I need some marble flooring here in the house. Okay, yes, you should care about national prices. We know you don't care what's happening in Ottawa. You live in Toronto. Well, you should. National trends are useful for learning about the credit and exuberance in a country. If your dense market is rising and everything else is falling, it could be local factors driving prices. If your market is rising and everything is rising, it's probably credit related. Credit related price movements tend to contract when credit takes a downturn as well. Vancouver real estate is still the priciest in Canada. Canada's most expensive real estate markets are Vancouver, Fraser Valley, and Toronto. Fraser Valley is just east of Vancouver, east of Hope. I live in the Fraser Valley area. And houses in Kelowna and houses in Kamloops are ridiculous. 2 years ago, they were 200 grand. Today, they're like 5, 6, 7, 800 grand. And I got somebody that I want to get on the show here on Skype that's actually from Kelowna, that's actually tracking what's going on there and having him on the show. Canada's most expensive real estate, Fraser Valley, I read that, and Toronto, Vancouver saw the same price as typical home reach, $1,087,000 in July, up 6.68% from the same time last year. Fraser Valley also saw the price of a typical home climb to $831,000, up a massive 13.83%. Toronto fell to $768,000, down 0.6% compared to last year. Here it is here. So here you go. Vancouver, Fraser Valley. That's pretty much most of British Columbia, right? Because Fraser Valley goes up until Banff or just before Banff. So it's a big region, right? And then you got Toronto, Oakville, Victoria, Canada. Yeah, Victoria's part of BC too. Vancouver Island. So British Columbia alone has a lot of a lot of movement, a lot of priciness, like very expensive priciness. Okay. Let's keep going. BC has the fastest rising home prices in Canada. Real estate prices are rising fastest in the Fraser Valley, Vancouver Island, and Victoria. Fraser Valley, 13.83% increase, 831,000. Makes it the fastest growing prices in the country. Vancouver Island saw prices climb to 489,000, up 13.75% from last year. Victoria saw their benchmark rise to $672,000. And like 2 years ago, it was like 400 grand or 300 grand. Up 8.24% from the same time last year. All these markets were in BC, with the Vancouver coming in 5th fastest rising market. Here it is, change. Fraser Valley, Vancouver Island, Victoria, Ottawa, Vancouver coming in 5th. Then Montreal. Montreal's on fire now with bidding wars. Lots of bidding wars. Lots of bidding wars happening right now. Montcalm, Guelph, and then Canada as a whole. Then Oakville, Ontario. Toronto's going into decline. Edmonton, Calgary, Saskatoon, Barrie, and Regina. And that's the changes. Smaller cities seeing real estate prices rise very quickly. An odd trend to say the least. Density appears to be less of a factor. Home prices expectations seem to be rising. Most of these markets are seeing tapering sales but rising prices. Exhaustion behavior in relatively suburban markets is strong indicator that the late stages in the national credit cycle. Okay, guys. So, like I said, PEI, I read the article. You can look back on their housing crisis. It's a 7-minute video. I talk about Prince Edward Island and what's happening in Prince Edward Island. And I think that the capital of Prince Edward Island, I think it's Charlottetown or Fredericton. And I didn't even get that right yet. I don't even know. But it used to be the capital of Canada used to be in there, in Charlottetown or Fredericton. I'm one of those two. And PEI used to be where the House of Commons used to be. The House of Commerce or House of Commons used to be for the Canadian politicians. You know, that's where they pass laws and bills, right? Okay, so let's head back to the comments here. Was Montreal going through bidding wars during 2016? Not at all, Justin. Bidding wars just started about 2 months ago. It's been a hot market right now. And someone says agreed. Then Low Roller Scratcher says, does small cities have a lack of job opportunity? This is why people move to big cities, right? Listen, big cities are an illusion. You know, a lot of people make it. David Knight actually on Infowars. I have the app, and I was watching David Knight's show, and he's talking about the metropolis cities, how they want to keep you in there, how they want to keep you in there, like sealed, and they don't want you out in the country. They don't want you to make your own decisions. They don't want you to have your own land. They want to keep you and control you in these cities. He called them metropolises. He gave them a urban development or something, some name he gave him, and I'm like, whoa, I should take a note on that. But yeah, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal, and that's what they want to do. They want to keep people congested in these big cities, and people just can't make ends meet. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Let's move on. Toronto tops North America crane count, and there's 400 more project proposed. Wow. Now that everything's cooling in Toronto right now, and the market's the anomaly from last year, you know what I'm saying? You know, it's Toronto's a very interesting market right now. And I know that Faith Goldie's running for mayor there. Hopefully she could fix that city. That city's upside down, right side up, and sideways and backwards. It's all screwed up. I really hope she could get in as mayor. Hope you guys could support her if you can, if you live in the Toronto GTA region. Toronto tops North American crane count, and there's 400 more projects proposed. Really? You're going to add more inventory on the market. No one could afford it, and everyone's mass exiting. I had a conversation with Owen on the phone yesterday, and he told me there's an article out there where 50% of Torontonians, millennials, or 40%, want to leave the city of Toronto because it's just too expensive. You can't make headway in Toronto. No matter what you do, it's like Vancouver. What's the point? What are you working for? You're working for the man. Big deal. So what? So what? What are you going to do? You can't buy a car. You have to use public transit. You're already predetermined on where you're going to go in life when you live in one of those big cities now. Those big cities aren't what they were back in the day. Toronto has a whole lot of real estate development going up. Ryder Levitt Bucknell, RLB, the largest real estate consulting firm, released their quarterly Crane Index. Quarterly Crane Index. The index puts Toronto on the top of the high-rise construction pile of North America. Actually, Toronto is beat by the next closest city by a huge margin. That's not always a good thing. About the RLB Crane Index. The RLB Crane Index is a survey to count the number of high-rise cranes currently deployed. Mixed-use, commercial, and residential are all counted in the total. RLB only conducts surveys in markets they do business in. So there's some notable holes in North America. Off the top of our heads, Vancouver and Miami are not included. Two spots known for having a lot of construction. We'll have to pull the data for those cities another day. Now let's look to their survey. Toronto leads North America for crane count. Topping the list of the RLB Crane Index is Toronto, Seattle, Los Angeles. In that order, Toronto, 97 construction cranes at the end of Q2 of 2018. And 9 construction cranes from the previous quarter. Seattle has 65 cranes in Q2, up 20 from the previous quarter. Los Angeles has had 36 cranes at the end of Q2, the same number of previous quarters. Yes, Toronto almost 40% of the cranes than the next city on the list. Here is the crane count. Toronto, Seattle, Chicago, Los Angeles, Portland, Denver, San Francisco, Calgary, Washington, Nueva York, Boston, Honolulu's building up. Yeah, Massachusetts is in a lot of problems right now financially too, home crisis wise. Over 400 more high-rise projects proposed for Toronto. Toronto's construction boom is led by residential projects and is set to expand. Nearly 86% of the 97 cranes are residential projects under construction. The high crane count could continue to rise as well since another 400 projects are proposed. Not a huge surprise for everyone that knows Toronto is at record levels of construction. The count confirms that a lot of supply will hit the market relatively soon, with even more supply to come. So, a lot of empty units. I don't know if you guys remember the vacancy rate, what they've got for numbers in the city of Toronto. It was about 91 or 93,000 empty units mixed in the GTA houses and condos. So it's almost 100,000 empty units. And that's a huge problem when you factor in the empty units and then the foreclosure rates on a lot of people walking away from the deposits and the rent's going up in Toronto. Holy smokes. You have no idea how expensive rent got in Toronto in the last 2 months, 3 months, because rates are going up, people are renewing their mortgages, and the price of servicing that mortgage has gone up, so they're passing the savings on to the tenants. So when people say to me, Mike, I don't care what happens in the housing market, you better care about what's happening in the housing market, and I'll tell you why. Because your rent's going to go up if you rent. And if you go somewhere else, I'm going to go somewhere else to find rent. Then they have renting apps where people bid on the app to see who could pay the most rent. Toronto's crane count isn't a problem right now, but it does indicate some headwinds in the future. Residential real estate prices soared and led the rush of new projects to cash in. The rush is typical at late stages of the real estate cycle. The massive influx of supply is likely to place downwards pressure on the prices. Whipping out significant home equity, no surprise. One of the world's largest banks calls Toronto the world's largest real estate bubble. That's exactly what it is. People are playing with fire right now. They have no idea what they're getting themselves into. Okay, guys, let's move on to some comments here. What do we got in the comment section? Look at that. Trenzito is in the comments. Ciao. And Jeff O'Toole says, what point did he say no more? No more? It is crazy. Okay, I didn't say that. And those condos will go bust. They're too expensive to maintain. That's correct. Francis is saying, I've looked at the jobs in my field in more rural areas. The problem is the same. They'll pay third or fourth of the price of a house in that area. Same problem in the suburbs around big cities. Well, that's why you just start your own thing. I'm not sure what you do, but if you're in what you might call it, one of those if you're in a service industry, or you're doing like plumbing or electrical or a really good, just get your own van and just do your own thing. Work twice a week, 2 contracts a week. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Mike, take care of yourself, man. I gotta go to work to finish a job. Oates is laying some floor in some store somewhere. Oates might be moving to Merritt and doing his own work here. He's been in touch with me on Facebook. He's looking to move up here. Okay. Someone says, what do you think will be the next rate hike for the Bank of Canada? Do you have any sources? Yes, I do know people inside. I really do know people inside. A lot of them need to remain anonymous because they've signed a lot of disclosure agreements. So I've had some on the show which I've kept anonymous. I have to keep them anonymous. Bank of Canada needs to, a good economist could look at what's happening in Canada and say, okay, Canada needs to raise rates at least 4 to 6 times to make that difference. To actually start hedging against the inflation and the rise of the United States dollar. So, okay, let's keep going. So that was our cranes video. Toronto becomes Canada's most expensive rental market as Vancouver prices drop. Guys, this is not good. Because, this housing crisis is affecting whether you don't own, whether you rent, whether you're borrowing, whether you're couch surfing. Oh, I'm couch surfing for now, so I could save a bit of money. It doesn't matter. Do you understand? It's a big deal. It's going to affect if you're homeless. How's it going to affect me if I'm homeless? Well, then someone else is going to stand in your corner panhandling for money. There's going to be more competition. Oh, okay. How's it going to affect me if I'm renting? Because your rent's going to go up. How's it going to affect me if I own? Well, if you have a lien on your property and rates go up, you're screwed. Everything has a price, right? Let's find out what's going on. Good old TO, August 27, 2018. Canada's most expensive rental market is no longer Vancouver. As prices fall in the city, numbers of rentals.ca show that half of Canadian cities saw one-bedroom rental prices in June. The rise, combined with Vancouver's fall, crowned Toronto the most expensive market. Toronto replaces Vancouver as most expensive rental market. Toronto replaced Vancouver the most expensive market in the country. Toronto had the average list price of $1,862 in June, up 1% from the month before. Vancouver fell under $1,833, down 5.4%. Richmond Hill, a suburb of Toronto, came in third at $1,721, down 0.7% from the month before. Spots 4 through 6 were also suburbs of Toronto, as last year's condo gains transfer as secondary rental prices. So here we go. Toronto, 1 bedroom. So your average 1 bedroom here. Toronto's first. Vancouver falls to second. Vancouver was king for a long time. Richmond Hill, Etobicoke, Mississauga. I like Mississauga. It's Mississauga, Oakville, Fort McMurray, Alberta. Wow, Fort McMurray's up there. Yeah, because there's lots of oil, right? That's where the oil wells are, right? North York, Ontario, Burlington, Ontario, Montreal, Quebec, Brampton, Ontario, Calgary, Alberta, Ottawa, Kitchener, Scarborough, Surrey, BC, Hamilton, Ontario, Winnipeg, Regina, Verdun, Quebec, Grande Prairie, Edmonton, Saskatoon, Red Deer, London, Halifax, Quebec City, Windsor, Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, so it's Charlottetown is the capital, and Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. You can still get a place for around $600, $656 in Nova Scotia. Prince Edward Island, the capital, Charlottetown, you can get something for $747. Toronto suburbs are the fastest rising rental markets. The fastest rising rental markets were Oakville, Etobicoke, and Mississauga. Oakville reached 1,373 in June, a massive 5.1% from the month before. Etobicoke reached 1,471, up 4.5%, and Mississauga reached 1,435, up 2.5%. Yes, the area surrounding Toronto is seeing the fastest rising rental prices. Canadian one-bedroom rental price change 2018. So here it is. Wow. So Oakville saw the biggest change. Then Etobicoke, Mississauga, Halifax, then Calgary. And the ones with negative change is Vancouver, of course, because it's not king anymore. Followed by Surrey, Windsor, Ottawa, and Richmond Hill, Ontario, and Kitchener and Scarborough. The fastest rental prices were in Vancouver, Surrey, and Windsor. Vancouver's $1,833 one-bedroom in June are massive 5.4% lower than the month before. Surrey saw the average list price fall to $1,064, down 2.7%. Windsor prices fell an average of $810, 2.4% from the month before. All three of these markets are currently seeing falling real estate prices as well. Okay? And generally speaking, the rental market trails real estate purchase prices. One month doesn't make a trend, but it does show that rental prices can move in both directions. A correction in home prices can lead to a correction in secondary market rental prices. Oh man, One Man's Way is in the house. And he's super chatted me $20. Thanks so much, buddy. So congrats on the new baby. Being homeless in Canadian winter isn't good. One Man's Way. Add me on Skype. Get Skype for that phone of yours. It's my Skype is Mike Martins, MikeMartins 1980. Guys, please add me on Skype if you want to be on the show. I want to get my man One Man's Way on the phone to give us his input on how he makes X amount of money, really good income, and the cost of living is just too expensive, even if you have a good job. What's the point of growing up and becoming and working to become a doctor or a high-end? I always use doctor because when I grew up as a kid, it was always, you want to be a doctor one day. It pays well and you help people. But, okay, let's get paid well, but then I can't even afford to rent a place. What does that put me at? You know what I'm saying? David Kennedy say, please watch this video by Rebel Media on YouTube. Trump snubs Trudeau and Mexican trade. I'll show that in the comments. That's fine. It will reflect the real estate big time. Oh, Canada's headed towards a huge disaster. Good times to be a landlord. And I'm Lost says, migration makes high house price talk of 20%. Cut in migration numbers in 3 months, already 10% cut in house prices in Australia. Australia, I had someone on the other day on the show. And DDean256 says, One Man Way loves you. He already have you $20 last show. I know, but you know what the thing is? You know why One Man's Way sent me $20 and $20 last? I'll tell you why. It's because he's benefiting from some of the information I'm giving him. And he's going to start using, hopefully applying some of the stuff that I'm showing. And maybe giving, like, maybe an idea. Everything's based off an idea. Once you have that idea going around, and if it could make you happy, make you money, make you live your dream. Living the dream means you're living what you want to live, or doing what you want to live, or doing what you want to do, and being happy at it, right? A lot of people ask me the other day, oh, Mike, you still work every day at your store. So you're not retired? I'm like, yeah, because I'm living the dream. I am living basically the way I want to live. And I go to work every day at my store, the business I opened, because I want my kids to go. I want my kids to see me to go to work every day. I want my kids to say, yeah, my dad went to work every day. It's normal. I got to start doing it when I finish high school. You get what I want my kids to see that pattern, you know? Anyways, thank you, One Man's Way, very much for the super chat. I didn't even know that thing worked because no one's ever sent me anything on it, except if someone else sent me $5 today too. So that's really nice. I appreciate that, guys. Okay, here's the deal, guys. So that's what's happening with Toronto. And they got another Toronto article. This week's top stories: Canadian real estate buyers inflate their budgets while old ones withdraw equity. So time for a weekly cheat sheet. This is a cheat sheet. So we covered most of these stories. Canadians withdraw over $2 billion in home equity every month. Guys, this is not 2 billion pesos, okay? Because that'd be $2 million. This is 2 billion Canadian dollars, okay? That's 1.78 billion US dollars every month from their homes. Everyone's using their house as a damn ATM machine. That is the biggest mistake. How can you save for retirement and build your equity, or maybe hand your house down to your kids one day? Oh, the sun's hitting my face here. Sun's setting here. I know it's dark in most of the country, guys, but I'm seeing a sunset right now. Okay. Anyways, that's the sun. See that? See that on my face? That's the sun setting outside. I can see it from right here. Anyways, Canadians withdraw another $2 billion home equity. Oh my God, it's a vacuum. They're vacuuming any. Okay, guys, let me explain something. If you have a bit of equity in your home, let's say you bought your house for $100,000. You paid it down to $60,000. You got $40,000 equity in your house sitting there. Equity. Let's say the price of your house goes down $10,000, $20,000. You're okay because you've created an aggregation. So if the price does go down, it doesn't hurt you that much because the house is still worth more than what it's valued at the current market rate. But when you tap in and you take 100% loan to value, it's a lot easier for you to go underwater because you're 100% LTV. Okay? Once you're 100% LTV, you're toast. And I'll tell you why you're toast. Because the second that goes down 5% or 1%, even 2% down, you automatically owe more for your house than what it's realistically worth on the market. So today is a Miami show. We're going to get to Miami soon. Miami's crashing right now. Lots of foreclosures right now in Miami. So we're going to get to it soon in the show. Canadians withdraw another... Okay, let's continue with this. Canadians can't stop withdrawing their home equity. As analysis of filings from the Office of Superintendent Financial Institutions show, the balance of loans secured by residential real estate hit a new record in June. The outstanding balance was primarily driven by consumers such as HELOCs. HELOCs are like second mortgages, right? Some people call them lines of credit or whatever they want to call it. Meanwhile, business consumers are rapidly deleveraging those types of loans. Loans secured by residential real estate. Guys, just hear me out here, okay, please? This is not like... I just want to give you a good example of this. I just want to apply it, but it won't work on this, sorry. Let's keep going. Loans secured by residential real estate come in two flavors. Business and personal. Loans secured by residential real estate for businesses purposes are pretty routine. Often when a small business needs a loan, they have insufficient collateral to pledge. The owner often will put up their home as security, just in case the business defaults on the loan. Growth here is generally considered good because it's for a productive purpose, right? You're creating jobs, you're hiring people, right? These people are borrowing to expand their business and make more money. This is the sign of confidence in the economy, and we would like to see it growth there. Loans secured by residential for non-business purposes is not so great. These are personal loans used to finance non-productive investments like new kitchen. A vast majority of these home equity lines of credit, HELOCs, that allow homes to be used like ATM. I always say ATM. Since they are mostly used for consumption, seeing growth in the segment can be bad. In addition to borrowing from income, growth problems can occur after a quick rise in prices. Any correction can leave these homeowners with less equity than they planned. We don't want to see a huge growth here unless you're selling HELOCs. Canadians owe $286 billion secured by real estate. Guys, this is a big deal. Why? It's going towards consumption, right? I know people that buy Mercedes and all these fancy cars. They're buying it all for consumption purposes, right? They buy the worst investments. I can understand if you borrow 200 grand and you're getting back a 7 to 10% yield on your return or 12% yield on your return. I get it. Most of these people are buying fur coats, expensive vacations, and all that stuff. And somebody asked me on my blog here the other day, Mike, you're not fixing your house up so much. I thought you were going to fix it up and renovate. I am. I'm here for 20 years. Just relax. I'm going to be getting some windows in next week. I'm going to be installing my windows, my new front door, all my sliding doors. I got like 4 sliding doors in this whole house. Let me do it slowly. You know, I got the heat fixed today. I got a couple of other things fixed before the winter. Let me slowly, you know. I'm going to put an inline water filter to filter the water in the house, like a big inline blue system. You know, things like that go, I don't know, 2-3 microns, kill everything. Well, remove the bad stuff in the water. You know, I'm slowly doing it, you know. Before you know it, the house is going to be amazingly fixed. But I'm not jumping in there and I'll put a little bit of money aside every week. My money, not borrowed. And when I need it, and when I have enough, then I start fixing the rooms up. You know what I'm saying? You should see this office before I fixed it. It looked like a place you would never walk into. Okay, somebody. Joe Blow says, Mike, why didn't you buy a house 15 years ago? 15 years ago, where was I? I was. How old was I? 15. I was 25. Yeah, I was 25. So, yeah, 15 years ago, I was in Miami. So it was, I was still like having fun, if you want to put it that way. You know what I'm saying? I owned a big company down in Miami too. First, let's look at the combined balance of both segments. The total of all segment loans secured by residential real estate, a new high. The outstanding balance reached $286.81 billion in June, $1.966 billion from the month before. This represents growth of 1.83% from the same time last year, which is relatively low for the past few years. The last we saw the annual growth rate falls this low was September 2016. Now let's see where the growth is coming from. Total loans secured with residential real estate. Guys, this is a big deal. That's a lot of money, man. Times 1,000, that's $2 billion. What is that? That's $286 billion bucks. Guys, this is really not good. Personal loans secured with real estate. 285 times 1,000, that's 258 billion. Business loans secured. Now this one's down. The business loans are down. So the ones that everybody look, it's down. So the ones that they should be taken out, the ones that are more important, that actually create jobs and expand the economy and blah, 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 it's down. People aren't investing in creating more business. And that's a problem. People are borrowing for consuming, right? The balance of debt isn't a problem by itself, but how the debt is being used might be. Households are drawing on home equity quickly. After quick rise in prices were followed by a drop in sales. This could lead to a price correction, leaving many homes with less equity than expected. Meanwhile, businesses are using less of these loans, a sign of tapering confidence, declining signs of business confidence, and increasing consumer debt, all the while interest rates are climbing. This is a nightmare, people. This is a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. You know, and you know what really teased me off about this? What really, really upsets me is when you get those people walking around like they're the biggest thing to ever walk the earth. The ones that look at you from their car and say, "Pipe down, little man. You only exist out here because of me." You know, giving you that look. You exist out here because of me. And they're thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions in debt. But they walk around like they own the damn city. Let me take a sip here of water here. Daniel Martinelli is in the comments. Comments are going good. All right. ATM Machine Toronto. Let's move on. Home loan refinancing jumps, but Benny finds they have to sell up. Where's this from? So I can't read this, guys, because they won't let me. So I have to buy this thing. Where's that I want to cover the Australia rate hike right now. Here it is. Here it is. I just want to cover this really quick. What's happening right now in Australia. Hold on. Is this the... Yeah, here he goes. So this is variable rates, guys. And variable rates are very important. Here, let's see this. This girl's good looking. Let's see what she has to say here. Let's get this chick from the beginning here.
Joining me now is our Sky News business reporter, Leo Shanahan. Leo, it's been a long week in politics. It's
Forgot about business.
Westpac today. I'm glad to be talking about business, but perhaps not glad on behalf of mortgage holders. This is an out-of-cycle rise from Westpac, and they're broken with the big banks. What's behind it?
Yeah, 14 basis point rise, Laura. Now, that will take effect on all non-variable home loans from the 19th of September. And look, this goes to the cost of funding for the banks, the wholesale funding cost. That is the rate at which banks themselves borrow money off the markets. Now, that is the bank bill swap rate, interest rate. Now, people might say, well, our interest rates haven't gone up for 2 years in Australia. Why are banks lifting interest rates? It's because they actually, it's only a part of their rationale as to what our own Reserve Bank is doing. It's actually the costs of funding on the market. And those have blown out by about 60 points halfway through this year. And that's because the Fed Reserve in the United States is lifting interest rates. European banks are tightening their spending. So really that's affecting the rate at which banks can borrow money and ultimately what you pay on your mortgage.
Right, so 14 basis points. It's not exactly going to break the bank, but...
Average of about $30 on every mortgage, yeah, about $35 Westpac is saying, sorry.
Okay, it's not too hefty then, but will the other big banks follow this lead, do you think?
Yeah, it just depends on the margins, the cost pressures they're under. CBA, I don't think will immediately because they've got kind of wider margins to play with at the moment. Some think NAB might follow suit because they're under a bit more pressure. It's hard to say exactly what ANZ might do, but you're likely to see at least one of the other big four follow, I think.
Okay, and how quickly do the big banks usually move when it comes to these kinds of moves?
Well, tend to move pretty quickly, Laura, so it could well be by this afternoon.
Okay, we'll keep a very close eye on it. Actually, you will keep a very close eye on it for us. Just one last question before I let you go, Leo. Given the banks have taken a battering over recent times, the PR out of the Royal Commission hasn't been all that great. Is this a smart move from Westpac? It must be quite necessary for them to do.
Yeah, look, it's not something I think they really want to do in this environment, but ultimately they're banks and the bottom line matters. It's interesting that you mentioned the Royal Commission because there is some talk that the Royal Commission has constrained lending capacity, which can lead to more of a credit crunch, which also leads to higher interest rates to some degree. But look, I don't think you can blame the Royal Commission for this. This is really on the back of higher lending costs in the open market and really down to the Fed Reserve lifting interest rates.
Okay, I wanted to share that with you guys. So they got to hedge against inflation somehow. Closing costs and all that stuff. And the bank borrowing the money, it costs. So in the end, it's a trickle down effect, and it affects everybody. In the end, it's just going to come down to the consumer in the end, right? Could they afford it or not? What could they do in their position? Can they hold their position? Can they gear at could they gear a negative loss every month and hope that the market bounces back? I don't think so. I think the markets won't. I think there's going to be a huge correction coming soon. And it doesn't take much. It takes anywhere from 8 to 12% of stuff to fall apart, and you start to see everything around as a big circle move its way inward and start basically shutting down left, right, center. And people are going to start... And the thing is, in Australia, I've had several people on the phone from Australia, and they tell me it's really hard to go bankrupt and to go insolvent. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so Westpac will become the first of 4 banks to hike its variable home loan rates. Okay, wait, let me see if I can get somebody on the phone here from Australia that told me that rates won't go up. Here we go. We got okay, let me see if I could get this gentleman here get him on the phone here. I'm not sure if he's sleeping right now. I don't know what's the... let's see if I can get a hold of him. And if he's not busy. Probably he's busy. Let's see if he picks up on Skype. He might pick up. You never know. Find out what he thinks about this next move. Nobody home. Okay, let's get my other guy down in Melbourne here. In Melbourne, sorry. Melbourne. Let's get my real estate lawyer here. Let's see if he's home. Mike Hayden in Perth, Australia. Let's see what he has to say about raising interest rates. Come on, is anybody watching my show today, man? Holy smokes. No dice. People will probably be phoning me in the high numbers here later. Who else can I get here from Australia? Let's see if my Steven... Steven just messaged me. Melbourne, happy today. All right, let's get him on the phone. He just messaged me. Let's get Steven on the phone. Hopefully we get Steven on the phone and he can tell us what's going on.
Hello?
Steven, are you there?
I'm here.
You're live right now on the show. I got your message. I'm reading the article. What is happening? Interest rates went up. Can you fill us in on what's going on?
Yeah, sure. Basically, as of September the 19th, Westpac Bank are raising interest rates by 0.141%. It's the beginning of the property interest rate rise here in Australia.
How are any tensions? Are you seeing any tensions? Do you any reverb? Anything happening?
There's a lot in the media at the moment, but I expect some tensions to come about in the next 7 to 10 days.
Right.
I say that in all honesty because I expect people to start making a move to fix their finances for better or worse.
Interesting. Well, do you recommend anyone to buy right now?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Can you tell us why it's not a good time to buy? Because people need a,
Yeah, basically it's not a good time to buy because with interest rates expecting to rise, in addition to the rate rises that have just happened, you'll soon find that property prices will start to increase in deceleration.
And then, yeah.
Basically what that means is they will pick up pace as they go further down.
Do you see a lot of people... I know it's very hard to claim to go bankrupt with a mortgage, but do you see a lot of people they mentioned $35 on average per mortgage on a $300,000,
yes.
But that's a $300,000 mortgage.
Correct. Now, just to give you some other information as well, people on $80,000 in annualised income have 42% less borrowing power than 12 months ago.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yes, it is. And they're the bulk of the people who are looking at wanting to buy some form of real estate in that income bracket or a little bit higher because they've got families. I'm sure you know the story. They've got families, they've got kids, they've got other responsibilities. They just can't make the equity and also the debt borrowing limits.
So do you think that the Bank of Australia, do you forecast them raising rates again? I think they need at least 3 to 4 more rate hikes to hedge against inflation. What do you think?
Theoretically, yes, that's correct, but I believe they will not raise rates. They will sit on their hands for the time being because the problem is if they do, they will make a mess.
But then how do they hedge against inflation?
you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. You've got to use macroprudential tools, which is basically borrowing limitations to prevent an outbreak of inflation. So you're limiting the money supply, in other words.
Exactly. I remember reading that in a book, actually.
Yeah.
What do you forecast? What do you forecast for? Where do you see the when do you see the poop hitting the fan? Do you see it Q1 or Q2 of 2020? Actually, it's springtime. It's going to be springtime where you are. Is there going to be a big spring season in Melbourne and Sydney again, or are you going to see flat? Is it going to be flat?
Spring is always big in Melbourne because of the Melbourne Cup horse race. However, this year, I think what you'll probably find is a lot of sellers will come onto the market at once. Some will succeed, some won't. But in 2020, that's the bulk of when the interest-only loans fall due.
Oh!
So that's when people are looking at trouble happening 2019, 2020.
Yeah, they're going to come up for maturity, right?
Correct.
Oh, that's going to be an absolute nightmare.
That's right. So if you're going to do something about it, I'll be doing something in the next 3 to 6 months to get out of the way of the stampede, out of the market.
Yeah, I feel it. I could feel it. I see it happening. But this is a very different housing bubble because Australia has been in a housing bull market since 1975. They've had dips, but they've never had a real crash like Canada has.
No.
Yeah.
No. Our closest crash was the global financial crisis in 2008-9, which is what was called as the Great Recession in North America.
Right.
Basically what happened then, there was the first home vendors boost because the government gave out grants for people to sell property.
But it wasn't a complete full blown crash. It was just I think a dip in the market, and then
Correct.
And then things kind of really bounced back like a quick in a heartbeat. And while the rest of Canada, I mean the United States, saw huge declines, some cities up to 60 to 80% declines.
Yes. I remember speaking to my brother at the time in Vancouver, and he said one of the reasons why he didn't get caught was because he didn't take out a home equity loan.
Yes.
So he left the equity inside his house to act as a buffer.
Yes. An aggregation.
So he was fine.
Yeah. As long as you have a bit of aggregation on your side, you're okay. They raise rates, you're okay. Yeah,
Yes.
if you got to lower the selling price of your home, at least you walk away free and clear. But if your LTV is at 100%, a lot of people in Australia, their LTV is at 100%. They're fully maxed. Now,
Correct.
This is a nightmare. This is worse than a nightmare. It's the perfect storm.
It is, that's true. So you've got to act quickly and work with the lender to get your way out of that situation, because if you don't, that's when all hell breaks loose.
So what do you recommend? What do you see happening in cities like Hobart and those other cities that have spiked in price because of the mass exodus of people leaving Sydney? Do you see them declining?
In the short term, probably not, but in the long run, they will have to come back to the average norm, because Hobart is Hobart. I mean, Hobart is a very small town. It can't handle all the population increase you want. So unless you build up, it's just not going to happen. Wow.
Okay. Well, that's very, 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 very happy to have you on the show. Last second.
Thank you.
I've read the article. We watched the video, and remember, they're describing $30 on average per mortgage of 300 large. But the problem is the average benchmark mortgage in Sydney is 1.42 million or 1.39.
Yes, that's right.
So that's about $150 a month.
Yes.
Okay, so that changes that. A lot of people. I heard that a lot of people can't afford any increase at all because they're completely maxed out.
Well, correct. I mean, to give you a guide, there was another article written here by a gentleman by the name of Martin North about 2 or 3 days ago. He came out with some analytical information that mortgage rejections of applications were running at about 1,300 to 1,400% this year alone.
Well, because of the stress testing.
Correct.
Yeah, stress testing. So when people ask me, Steve, when people ask me, they go to me, Mike, why do you care what's happening in Australia? Well, they've been stress testing in Vancouver for a year and a half, 2 years. I think they'll introduce it in Australia just like they did in Canada. They're going to do it in the UK. Yes. They've already done it in the US. It's all an integrated market. So to understand... To understand why Australia, what is happening in Australia, you need to understand what's happening in New Zealand, you need to understand what's happening in the US, and you need to understand what's happening in Canada and the UK. Once you could understand the global and start crunching the numbers and seeing what's happening and following the patterns in every country, and you start seeing the patterns pick up. Vancouver tried to implement, or they're trying to implement, banning foreign buyers, just like New Zealand did.
Yep.
And you see what I'm saying? These patterns are all, it's like a big global free market. Every country with a free market is very easy to manipulate.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll let you do your thing. I appreciate you coming on the show. And, no
worries.
Yeah, we'll have you on next time, okay?
All right,
Thanks.
Good to talk to you.
Thank you, Stephen. Have a good night.
No worries. You too. Okay, bye now. Bye.
Bye. So that's Stephen from Melbourne, Australia. Keep pronouncing that wrong. So that's Stephen, and he's a financial consultant for like 20 plus years. So he knows what's going on. He understands what's going on. He messaged me that. I'm like, hey, let's just call him up and see. I hope it's not like, I think it's like 3 p.m. Thursday there. I think it's the next day already in Australia. And then Joe Blow in the comments says, people always need somewhere to live. Renters will always be rent. That's correct, Joe. Joe, you're 100% on that. But that's the problem. You need somewhere to live. And if it's way out of control, what are you going to do? I just saw Steve the Plumber in the comments section. Maybe I'll give him a call if he's not busy. Mike, please check this Google it, interest, mortgage, pillows. Let's show that. Lost Canuck in the house. Oh, Steve the Plumber in the house. Everybody in the house. Oh, it's lunchtime in Australia. Yeah, I knew it was around like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I knew it was afternoon, so I knew the time. It's Thursday there. I know it's a day ahead. So Steve the Plumber's driving home right now. And Roy Pena says Tokyo has a population of 50 million. Guys, I'm going to have Tokyo, oh God, what's his name? Tokyo Manpower. He's going to be on the show probably on Sunday. He's going to tell us how it's been. He's been living in Japan for a couple of years now. He used to live in Vancouver, and he's living in Japan, and he wants to discuss the lifestyle, the changes, the cost of living, how things are faring in Tokyo. So I'm going to get him on the show, and he's going to talk about the housing crisis there or what's happening. So, anyways, I don't know what my cat's doing, but my cat's getting caught on the table. I hope she doesn't shut off the power bar on me. So let's keep going, guys. We're going to Miami. Welcome to Miami. Party in the city where the heat is on all night on the beaches till the break of dawn. Welcome to Miami. Bienvenido a Miami. Why am I singing that, people? It's not really that good of a song, but why am I singing it? It's because this is the Miami show. Miami foreclosures up 29% from July 2017 to 2018 report says. Man, you guys have no idea nationwide what's happening. And this is a foreclosure. Here's the foreclosure, summer foreclosure heat wave. So I'm going to zoom into this. It's a really good picture of what's giving you a good picture of on the ground what's happening. Come on, why did this go up here? Wait a minute, did it just change articles on me? Oh, did I lose the article? Oh man, it's gone. I really want to show that to you guys. It's the Miami heat wave. The Miami foreclosure heat wave. Okay, here it is. So Miami, Orlando, Jacksonville, and Cape Coral are hitting pretty hard. Houston and Austin, Indianapolis, Detroit, and Los Angeles and San Diego are seeing foreclosures. Foreclosures. Now, oh, rates are going up. Oh, look at this. Oh, the guy owes more money. Oh, ATM machine is my house. Foreclosures. Miami foreclosures. Let's see what they have here. Okay, they got music, so they're going to flag my video. By nearly every metric, Miami's housing and rental market are a nightmare. It always is. It's always been. That's in Fort Lauderdale. I know where that is. Those buildings. Housing and rental prices are among the highest in America. Low wages means Miami's pay a larger share of their income to housing than almost anyone. Hey, I thought that was San Francisco. Now there's a new warning sign. Foreclosures are spiking in South Florida. New data shows foreclosures in Miami rose 29% from July 2017, July 28. That's a lot. The rise was driven part by the fallout from Hurricane Irma in the area, and the region heavily dependent on property taxes. The spike could be a warning sign of more trouble. So Miami foreclosures up 29 points from July. By nearly every metric, Miami's housing and rental markets are Kafkaesque nightmares. Few people can afford their homes here because they are expensive, while the median income are embarrassing low. It's a dangerous predicament. One natural disaster could throw tons of cash-strapped homeowners spiraling into bankruptcy. And you know, the average home is like $250,000 to $430,000. 430, you're getting something really high up there. And imagine they had Vancouver price homes. Woo! Woo! Well, according to the new report from Adam Data Solutions, the megacity is now dealing with the fallout of those disasters. Foreclosures in Miami spiked 29% from July 2017 and July 2018, and Hurricane Irma is partly to blame. For the first time in 3 years, home foreclosures actually rose year over year across America during the past 12 months. According to the new report released today, Miami is not one of the few U.S. cities that have fared well over the past year. The city saw 1,119 new foreclosures in the past month alone. Though some of that spike can be attributed damage from Hurricane Irma in September 2017, Adams' analysis warned the foreclosure spike could be a sign of greater trouble on the horizon. Statewide, Florida saw 35% more foreclosure filings this month than in July 2017, the largest single state spike in America. The increase in foreclosures start in not just a month, 1 month anomaly in many local markets, given that July represented the third consecutive month with a year-over-year increase in 33 metro areas, including Los Angeles, Miami, Houston, Detroit, San Diego, Austin. Adams Senior Vice President Darren Blomquist said today in the release, gradually losing and lending standards over the past few years have introduced modicum of risk back into the housing market, and additional risk resulting in rising foreclosure starts in a diverse set of markets. Didn't they learn anything in 2008? 2007? Didn't they learn anything? I gotta get Tony. Let me get Tony on the phone here from Miami. Let's see if he's home. It's my personal friend down there. He might not be home, though. Oh, no. What time is it there? It's like 10, 11 o'clock. We'll call some people down in Miami. Find out what the hell's going on here. While the national housing market appears ripe for the rise in foreclosures overall, the report warns that cities with natural disasters in the past year are doing worse than others. Take, for instance, Houston, which lived through nightmarish flooding, and thanks to Hurricane Harvey, foreclosures are up 76% year over year in that city. Florida cities have weathered Irma's worst, faring poorly too. Cape Coral saw 59% foreclosure jump over the past 12 months. Overall, Atlantic City a town trapped in an ongoing financial meltdown. I got someone in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I'm going to get on the phone. He's an analyst too. He works on he works in the housing. He's got to be hidden, or I got to keep him under wraps. He's down in New Jersey, and he's telling me what's happening in Atlantic City. Big problems. Listed for highest foreclosure, 219 in Americas. Trenton, Philadelphia also hit the top 5s. In contrast, New York City saw a 16% drop in new cases. So here we go. Detroit, Miami, Cape Coral, Orlando, Jacksonville, Houston, Austin, San Diego, Los Angeles, Indianapolis, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Detroit. It's sad, guys. It's really sad, and it's heading towards... Atlantic City Casino is going into bankruptcy. Low Roller Scratcher, are you in New Jersey? Low Roller Scratcher, is that... Are you in New Jersey? No, he's not. Okay, because I wanted to know what's going on there in New Jersey. I'll just get my friend on, but he's scared somebody might recognize his voice. I go, you know what? Who the hell knows about me in New Jersey? He's like, you know what, Mike? People watch your show in New Jersey, in Newark, and Yorkers in New York and stuff. People know you. I'm like, really? It's like, yeah, people know you, and the real estate agents know you. I'm like, in New Jersey? They're like, yeah, in Providence, Rhode Island. There was a guy talking about my show in the bar, and then they approached another guy, and it's like, yeah, Mike Martins. Yeah, I know that guy. He talks about housing and this and that in all these countries. And yeah. So let's keep moving on here. Orlando homes in foreclosure rise for the 3rd straight month. Guys, 1 month is a dip. 2 months, it becomes factual. It's true. You could have a bad month, but look at this, Orlando. Let's see if there's music on this.
Is Orlando Sentinel now?
All right, let's talk about foreclosures. Bill, what is this? Foreclosures are up in Orlando in Central Florida?
They are. In Metro Orlando, they're up 23% for this July compared to last July. That's for total foreclosures. Starts are up for the 3rd straight month. They're up 41%. But there's only about 700 of them. We're not like we were at the peak of the recession where there were probably about 2,500 a month. It's enough to move Orlando from about the 60s in the national rankings to about the 20s.
All right, so I know everyone talks about foreclosures going up. I think people concerned about real estate start freaking out about this. But what are the reasons that we're being given for why we're having this spike in foreclosures?
You know, one of the economists who was part of the company that did the survey said there are a lot of factors, but in Orlando specifically and in Florida, part of it is Hurricane Irma mortgage relief that people got. They didn't have to make their payments if they were dealing with expenses from the storm, getting recovery. Well, when the banks came in and said, hey, it's time to make good, they didn't have that cash immediately available. So sometimes that leads to a foreclosure start or a foreclosure proceeding.
Is that the increase in foreclosures, is that expected to have any sort of impact on our real estate scene when more people start looking for foreclosed houses rather than other ones that are up for sale or anything like that?
Wouldn't that be great? The market could really use some value right now, but there aren't really a lot of bargains out there. I talked to a couple of realtors already. They haven't really seen that kind of impact among shoppers. Not a lot of extra homes on the market, definitely not a lot of bargains. And as we saw during the recovery, a lot of cash buyers are going to swoop in and pick those up anyway. Mm-hmm. So it would take a lot more of this happening to make some bargains appear on the market.
Because I'll throw this out to the panel here, from what I've seen I live over in East Orange, but the area there, it seems to be a very strong real estate market. As soon as houses go up for sale, they're being taken and sold very quickly. So I guess overall our health is good with real estate right now?
It is and it isn't. It's very good if you're a seller. East Orange is definitely an area where there used to be some bargains, and now there's a lot of appreciation where it's becoming, I won't say the most expensive, but it's risen in the ranks of how much does it cost to get a home in this area. Right. Overall, you're not going to find a bargain, and part of what's happening is older millennials are finally starting to say, hey, you know what? It's our turn. It's time to look to buy a house. And
time to grow up and buy a house.
Maybe.
Be an adult.
One realtor I talked to a couple months ago said that's really what's pushing the what you think of as an average home up in price and taking that inventory down on the market. So there's not a lot of those homes available.
But with the foreclosures, though, like if I live in a neighborhood, I don't want to see that because that could bring down the value of my home, right? So that it's kind of like, yeah, it could be a bargain for the buyer, but for the sellers and the surrounding
when you're doing
neighborhood.
the comparables for what's in the
well,
neighborhood.
yeah, if you're when you're trying to put your house on the market, and if there's a couple of foreclosures in there, wouldn't that hurt their comps or no?
It could a little. It could make it tough to sell your home specifically if you have a couple of eyesores near you. But right now the numbers aren't high enough to where there's going to be those widespread eyesores like we saw around 2010, 2009, 2011. So. And the other good news is that just because a home is in foreclosure proceedings doesn't mean that its value is down specifically. So, these homes might still have their value to them. They might not sit there looking awful if they're kept up and if they sell pretty quick.
Okay, so that's what's happening right now. So, I mean, didn't anyone learn anything from 2007 and 2008? I mean, was everybody like on the moon or on Mars at the time when this happened and they completely forgot about it? It's, what is it, the 10-year anniversary this year of that big crash? Yeah, it's like a 10-year anniversary. Lots of Lost Canuck on the phone. How much pension funds in Florida investment and Mattamy homes in Florida? Yeah, like the average house in Orlando, I think it's still around $300,000, and people are foreclosing on that, $400,000, right? Wells Fargo error contributed to hundreds of foreclosures. Wow. So Wells Fargo basically screwed up, and a lot of people lost their homes. Wow. Wells Fargo company mistake contributed to hundreds of foreclosures because it miscalculated customers' ineligibility for mortgage modifications. So basically, revamping their existing mortgage, or by getting a better rate, or maybe adding or paying off some consolidation loans. The bank said filing Friday the error caused 625 customers to be denied or not offered loan modifications they otherwise qualified for. Foreclosures were completed in about 400 of the cases. The customers had been using federal program to help families at risk of losing their homes. Spokesman Tony Goida said there's no breakdown of where the foreclosures occurred. The error in the bank's underwriting tool lasted from 2010 until it was fixed until late 2015. An internal review found it's the latest problem for the troubled bank, which almost 2 years ago disclosed it might have created 2.1 million accounts without customers' consents. Oh my God. Don't you hate that? When they pull your credit without your permission, and they mail you a credit card with a limit already on it, and you're like, why'd you open this account for me? I've gotten that over time. I've gotten that like 3-4 times where I just get a credit card in the mail. I don't think I need this. You know what I'm saying? And the comment section's going nuts over Wells Fargo. Holy smokes. So, it's really bad. Really heartbreaking. Let's move on. Can student loans lead to foreclosures? This is a big deal because there's a lot of people... interest rates, I think, have gone up on student loans, and I think because student loans became a federal thing. Instead of having the banks do it, which was a good thing, so the banks could be competitive with lending out money for schooling and stuff, and you could go bankrupt on it and stuff if something happens. No, the government stepped in. No, this is going to help prop our economy. We're taking over student loans. It's going to be a federal thing, and you can file, and you cannot file bankruptcy on your student loans. You know what I'm saying? And Steve the plumber, I don't know if he's home yet. Steve the plumber. And then One Man's Way said he had to pay $6,000 in fees. We're gonna get one Man's Way on the show one time to discuss what's happened with his position, and maybe other people could learn from it. Can student loans lead to foreclosures? For many parents, sending kids to college is a large added expense, but for some parents, taking on this expense may even result in foreclosure of their home, according to analysis. So imagine, you take a loan from your home to send your kids to school, now you're going to lose your home. A document preparation company, Emertic Financial, said the parents should consider student loans carefully and think about applying for income-driven repayment plans to remain financially sound. Parents might be inclined to apply for additional loans to fund their child's education, according to Tom Kickenbacher, EVP of Emmerich Financial, because they think the kids aren't ready to deal with financial consequences of missing payments of loans or worse. One way of solving the dilemma would be to get student loan borrowers to apply for income-driven repayment plans. This is an absolute disgusting Ponzi scheme. Let me tell you why. Because back in the day, in the 60s, 70s, and up into the early 80s, you would get a part-time job. You'd live with your parents, but you'd get a part-time job, and you'd save enough money to go to college over the summer. You'd even buy a car to get you to school and pay for the insurance for the year, get you to school, pay for your courses and your books, okay? And that should last you until next summer. Then next summer comes, you work another summer job full-time, should make enough money to put away to pay for your school, to pay for this, blah, blah, blah. And as you know, now you tell that to a millennial nowadays. Yeah, people worked an entire summer, paid for their car, older car, right? Paid for their insurance to get them to school, their books and their courses for the whole 2 semesters, the whole 2 semesters or whatever you do. No, that's impossible. Yeah, that's how it was. Now it's borrowing money and foreclosing and this and that. There's recent studies showing that people, 27,400 foreclosures according to Faber and Rich. The gap between the total cost of financial aid to provide still be in large families across the income distribution to bear. This is horrible, people. Back in the day, school didn't become like back in the day. I mean, now you're getting the mortgage payment, but you don't get the house. Now you're getting the car payment, but you don't have the car. You got this massive debt to pay off. Now it's leading to foreclosures. And Joe Blow is saying free rent for all viewers. Lost Canucks say all the money stores are all over Barrie. $15,000 loan money. Wow, $15,000 loans money mart. Canadian schools subsidized $7,000 a year. And then One Man's Way, Wells Fargo is 7 different companies in one crap phone line. We get on hold. They use the same one on the same page. When Wells Fargo screws up, it's your fault. Yeah, that's usually how it works. It's always your fault, even though they made the mistake. And now, with a lot of people that don't speak English doing these jobs, it's going to make it even a lot worse. I don't know if you saw the article I read today. Canadians underwater. Where exactly rising interest rates may leave Canadians in danger of losing their homes. Oh, yeah. It's going to hit in Canada, man. And when it hits in Canada, ooh. Let's see if there's music in this thing. Let's see what they have to say in this one.
With 25% less sugar, the new...
That's going to flag my video. This stupid commercial is going to flag my video. Yeah. Less sugar. It's chemicals in the food. Okay, here we go.
Interest rates rise, Canadians could find themselves underwater in debt, barely able to pay off their mortgage payments. Census data shows how much Canadians spent on shelter costs in relation to their household incomes. Shelter costs include a lot of things, but for households with mortgages, mortgage costs are a major item. Now, experts say that shelter costs shouldn't go above 30% of household income. But about 500,000 Canadian households with mortgages spend over half their household incomes on shelter costs. And that's far more common in Toronto and Vancouver, where homes are expensive compared to elsewhere in Canada. The question is, if so many households are so stretched with interest rates so low, how will they cope when they rise? That's already happening, as we saw in January.
In this context, the Governing Council decided to raise the policy interest rate by 1/4 percentage point to 1.25%.
But the census data goes into a lot more detail than that. We can see down the census tract level, neighborhoods of a few thousand people, exactly where mortgage holders have to stretch to get by, even with interest rates so low. In Toronto, they cluster in Richmond Hill, parts of Markham, and eastern North York. The data forms a kind of flood risk map for mortgages.
Question is, why is there such high debt in these areas? And the only reason I can think of is that people are spending a lot more money on their houses, meaning they're renovating and upgrading the houses. They're going to the very maximum amount that they can build on these properties and getting into the highest level of debt.
Vancouver, where there's been a lot of concern about home prices, has its own pattern. There, overstretched homeowners form 4 careful, distinct pockets: in West Vancouver, in Burnaby, in neighborhoods in the West Side, and in Richmond.
Where British Columbians sort of stood out compared to the rest of the country was 51% of them reported that they anticipated having to go further into debt in the next 12 months just to meet living expenses and debt payments.
So that's that, guys. Something I've been talking about on this channel for eons now. There's another story about another person. Let's see what this one is. Oh, it's the article here. Let's see what they say here. Please no music. Please no commercials. I don't want commercials. I don't care about Activia and Best Buy. Well, let's take a little consensus break here to take some water. Oh man, I'm thirsty. Okay, nobody cares. All right.
How depression tears.
Alyssa Atherton faces losing her home east of Toronto.
It's an ordeal that no one should have to go through.
She moved in last year, left up the Christmas tree, and hasn't unpacked boxes because she's not sure how long she can stay. Private lenders have started legal action to take back the house.
I hear my door knock. It's the lender who comes again. My kids are all here, comes again, yelling, screaming. You know, what are you going to do? You have to get out. You have to get out.
Her 2 loans with lenders are at 12% and 20%, swallowing up an unsustainable $6,000 of her income every month.
Don't overbuy. Don't go into excessive debt.
That message isn't getting through to many Canadians who are teetering on financial disaster as mortgage interest rates creep up.
These people stand to lose everything.
Global News looked at census data to see where Canadian home buyers are at greatest risk of drowning in mortgage debt and found that a high proportion of Canadians are spending more than 50% of their income on housing costs. That's especially true in large urban centres like Toronto and Vancouver. Most communities outside large cities see homeowners contribute less than 10% of income to home costs. 30% used to be considered the safe upper limit. Ron Alfonso says with mortgage prices rising, home prices are flattening and in some cases falling. That's a recipe for losing your home if you're too deep in debt.
If property values don't go up, there's going to be a lot of for sale signs here and a lot of bankruptcies.
It's a con game. It's not, they're not looking out for you at all.
She says her real estate agent promised her more favorable lending terms, but after the deal closed, that didn't happen. Now she's facing eviction, a situation that could happen to others.
It's in the Canadian national psyche to own a property. But the reality is not everyone can own a property.
Here in Toronto, especially neighborhoods like the Bridle Path and Rosedale, they have some of the highest levels of mortgage debt in the country. Of course, people who live in those communities, some of the highest incomes. Still, it is all about being able to manage mortgage debt that you have. As Ron Alfonso told us, many home buyers are so close to the tipping point, they're going to have to cut out other kinds of payments, even cut back on staples if rates go much higher, or, as he said, you could lose your house. Full break.
I want to comment on the 12 and 20% VIG. 12 and 20% VIG. V-I-G, look it up. That is like they would say, like we would say back in the day, that's vigorish. 12 and 20%. I don't even know loan sharks don't even lend at 12% VIG. So she has 2 loans on her house. Sorry, 2 loans that she's paying out to service her debt. So there's 2. There's one for 12 points and one for 20 points. That is a lot of VIG. Look it up. See what VIG means. That's vigorish is what it is. I have never seen that. That's criminal. That is 20 points. So if you have $1 million, let's say you borrow $1 million, okay? That's $200,000 a year in VIG. That's it. VIG. You're not even paying it down. Holy crap. You'd have a tough time paying down $5,000 if you don't pay it off in one shot. And you hit with 20% VIG on $5,000. You'd have... You couldn't pay... You would get engulfed in 6-7 months. You'd be at 18, 20, 25 grand. Like just rolling around real quick. And it gets big fast. And someone said in the comment section, why purchase it? She asked for it. That's true. But like the other guy said, it's every Canadian's dream is to have home ownership, to own the Canadian. Back in the day, everybody owned because why are you going to spend money on renting? Back in the day, Canada was amazing. 20, 25 years ago, yeah, even 30 years ago, even 40, you would work, let's say, bagging groceries or working at a gas station. 6 months working, you're like, what am I renting for? I could just buy a place and it'd just be cheaper monthly payments. Working at the gas station. Now, you have 10 people in the house working at the gas station. 10 people pulling. You got 10 pullers in the house. You still can't make the payments with 10 people working at a gas station nowadays. That's how bad it's getting. Wow, that's huge VIG, man. I've never seen VIG so high in my life, like legally on paper, like legally, not a handshake transaction. That is very, very vigorish. When anything's over 7%, I call it VIG. I don't call it interest, because interest is like banking. Anything over 7% is VIG. Wow. Okay, let's move on from that. Yeah. Okay. Seattle surrenders title of nation's housing market as Las Vegas overtakes tech powerhouse. Guys, why is Las Vegas booming? I'm going to tell you why Las Vegas is booming, and you're going to agree with me. It's because everybody that moved to Nevada has come from California. Well, everyone that's recently moved to Nevada. Sorry, not everybody. Everyone that's recently moved to Nevada in the last 2 to 3 years are all from California. A lot of California mass exodus is hitting Nevada, and now it's manipulated their housing prices in Las Vegas. Steve the Plumber saying, Mike, how long will you be live for? I have no idea. I'm just going to keep going until I have to go to the bathroom. Seattle surrenders title of nation's haunted housing. Nation's hottest housing market as Las Vegas overtakes tech powerhouse. Seattle's 21-month run as nation's hottest housing market is over. Can I tell you guys why Seattle had that big run? It's exactly the 21 month is exactly when they implemented the foreign buyers tax in Vancouver, roughly, give or take a month or two. Once that foreign buyers tax went into Vancouver, that was hitting foreign investors, a lot of people moved south to Seattle. And that's that run right there. So now with capital flows being capped off in China, you see what's happening here, right? People, you put 2 and 2 together. you start doing the math, you start realizing, you start connecting the dots, you start realizing real quick in a heartbeat where things are headed. Seattle's 21-month run as nation's hottest market is over. Las Vegas topped National Home Price Index this month, with prices rising 13% year over a year ago. Seattle has fallen completely off the map, however, coming in second with annual price growth at 12.8%, followed by San Francisco at 10.7%. San Francisco is just crazy right now. San Francisco is turning into a hellhole. Joseph Watson, Paul Joseph Watson, made a story. Has a story up on YouTube. I don't know if it's been taken down on YouTube, but type in Paul Joseph Watson, San Francisco, and it's a really good video. He breaks down what's happening there economically and all the cleaning companies that have to power wash the poop off the streets because there's so much feces everywhere. It's phenomenal what's happening in San Francisco. Seattle has enjoyed and dealt with long tech boom, powering tens of thousands of new jobs each year, supercharging the real estate market that struggled to keep up with demand. But in the last few months, cracks have begun to appear. Case-Shiller's report lag a little. The month's reports as June numbers. So it will be interesting to see when Seattle's numbers end up in the next few months. Redfin, CEO of Redfin, is in a unique position to spot these kind of trends as not only the head of the tech company, but also real estate brokerage with wealths of data on the housing market, buyers in cities dealing with the positives and negatives of tech booms such as Seattle and San Francisco are sitting out, he said, frustrated by the skyrocketing home prices and intense competition. In Seattle, Portland, and San Jose, where prices have increased the most, the percentage of homes selling in the first 2 weeks on the market declined in June, 61% to 52%. Kelman said in a recent call with investors, U.S. home prices have increased faster than wages for 70 straight months. 70 straight months. So home prices have increased faster than wages for 70 straight months. It's like 5 years. 6 years. And in Australia, I think it's like 14 years or 16 years where wages haven't caught up to it. So buyers in markets like these have finally had enough, at least for now. Kelman's assertions are backed up by recent report from crosstown real estate giant Zillow. Seattle is among U.S. cities showing the greatest slowdown in home value appreciation over the past year. It's relative, of course, since values are still rising, but now the blistering pace set in 2017. The proposed slowdown as well, Seattle abdication of the title's nation's hottest housing market comes to the city's biggest employer has somewhat slowed its dizzying pace of growth. I don't think it has to do with the tech companies. I really don't believe that. I believe it's coming from foreign investing, and what happened is it popped up the market, and they're not because 22 months, do the math, that's when Vancouver implemented the foreign buyers tax. You do the math and you put two and two together, and now with the capital outflows not leaving China, and China protecting their wealth because they're having a huge runoff on wealth, the country is going to be broke in another 3 to 5 years. Chinese nationals would have bought up the whole world. Amazon reported its first decline in headcount in 9 years during the first quarter of this year, when its overall figure dropped 2,900 employees during the earnings call in July. The tech giant is slowing external hiring in favor of shuffling employees internally. So that's what's happening, guys. Seattle is no longer the top. I don't know if you guys remember when I read the first article where I was talking about how investors are heading to Seattle. A lot of real estate agents from Vancouver went to Seattle to educate the Seattle Real Estate Board there to get more people in, customers in from China to invest in properties. And I don't know if you guys remember that. That was like pretty much 21 months ago when I was reading those articles. It's a while back now. But yeah, it's happening, guys. It's happening. Someone's asking, number one says, most people here Canadian? No, A lot of people here are from Australia. I got some people from New Zealand watching me right now. I got people from the UK watching me right now. I got people from the United States watching me right now. And I got people from Canada watching me right now. Because this is a global thing. This housing market is affecting every English-speaking country in the world. Because free markets. Free markets come in, buy whatever you want from us, buy our mines, buy our railroads, buy our highways, hey, even buy our provincial parks. It's for sale. Buy it all. And it's the great Canadian sell-off. It's the great American sell-off. It's the great Australian sell-off. Do you guys even know what's happening in Jamaica? Jamaica's a big deal. Jamaica has, they don't even own their own highways. That's how bad it is. Let's see if it's not, there's my man there. Jamaican economy. Trying to see if there's anything in the news. I'm just trying to find some of the articles my man St. Clair down there has been writing and posting about what's happening in Jamaica. Jamaica's so bad that they sold out all their businesses and all their what they had going for them. Sorry guys, my cat is just jumped through the window and is disturbing me here. Study, Las Vegas hottest housing market in the nation. Remove Seattle from top spot. Let's watch the video.
Is no longer the top spot in the nation to buy and sell a home.
Las Vegas is now the hottest housing market in the country. 8 News Now reporter Sally Jaramillo joining us now live to tell us why. Sally?
Move over Seattle. Las Vegas is now the hottest housing market in the nation. And that's according to the monthly Case-Shiller Home Price Index.
It makes sense that we have overtaken them.
We have a lot of buyers. A lot of people are buying houses.
David J. Tina is past president of the Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors. He says while Las Vegas is a hot housing market, our median home price is stabilizing at about $290,000.
To give you some context, at our high, we were at, in 2008, $315,000 median price.
And currently 12% above the same time last year in appreciation. But what is causing this? Reason number one out of every 3 buyers is from California.
Number 2, we just have a shortage of houses compared to the population. So regardless,
I said that, California.
What the economy is, there's not enough beds. So that's why we're seeing apartment homes being built.
And 3, we don't have enough new homes.
We're sold out and stuff. We sell pretty fast in our communities.
If you're looking at a curve, they're at the height right now.
Tina says in the recession, our prices went so low, we had room to go back up. And whereas Seattle, he doesn't believe has much more room to grow in price.
People can't afford to buy there. Whereas we still have that room between that 290 median to the 315 that we were at.
Tina also says this summer has been flattening out, but it's normal, and we should be seeing the market ramping back up again for the months of September and October. Reporting live, Sally Jaramillo, 8 News Now.
1 in 3 homes are being sold to California. Californians mass exodus. Nobody understands. That's US dollars, guys. The 260 medium, 290 medium is about 315,000 Canadian, 325 Canadian. And remember Portland, Oregon, the article I read for you guys last week in Trends in the Housing Market? It's down there in my video section. Explore my channel a bit, guys. I really work hard on it. Check it out. Watch some of my stuff that I got going on. Here, let me plug myself here. Real quick here. Let me go to my channel here. Oh, I'm live now. Let me go to my channel. Mike in the Night this Saturday. Don't miss it. I'm gonna have Westpac on. Trends in the housing market. All week shows. Every week, every Wednesday, there's Trends in the Housing Market right there. And then there's housing crisis, and it's right here. Portland housing tipping, not crashing. So Portland right now, listen to this, has reached a height of 401,000, and the average median income of $81,000 cannot service the $401,000 mortgage. People are going bankrupt, or it's beyond affordability now. So imagine $1.4 million in Vancouver for the average home, and the people making $11-12 an hour. You know what I'm saying, right? So Portland, Oregon, you make less money, but you earn more money because you're paying less taxes. And Portland is a work-free state, so you don't have a lot of taxes, right? So, Mikey Rides, it says, yeah, I do open lines. I got people calling. I've been calling more people now on the show. So, Mike, if you want to be on the show, just add me on Skype. It's Mike Martins 1980 on Skype. Mike Martins, my name, 1980 on Skype. Just add me on Skype if you want to call into the show. I already had a call in earlier. I called into someone today earlier in Melbourne, Australia, because they raised interest rates there in Australia yesterday. It will go into effect in about 2 weeks. Anyways, so Portland has hit the $401,000 mark. Imagine those cities get to Vancouver and Toronto prices and Los Angeles prices and San Diego prices and San Francisco prices. The whole Western Seaboard is completely bought out. And then Low Roller says Las Vegas will probably be selling house $1 million a few years from now. That would not be surprising to me. It would not be a surprise whatsoever. Terrace says, how much is the cost of renting a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house in Vancouver? Probably like $3,600. 4-bedroom? No, more. It's like almost $5,000 a month. Let's check. Let's see what it is. Okay, so affordable rent in Vancouver. City of Vancouver defines $3,702 rent as affordable housing. So if you want to rent a 4-bedroom, if you want to rent a 4-bedroom, I think it will start. Affordable housing starts at $3,702 Canadian in Vancouver. So $3,702 Canadian is about $3,000 US a month for rent. Yeah. One Man's Way is asking me, Mike, how does the fires in California affect their housing market? I did do a story about that about 4 weeks ago, when the fires were at their highest levels. It did somewhat, but everything, it didn't really hit too many of the more dense areas. It was more of the sporadic areas there where the dry brushes, right? People in China buy houses. Multiple houses are owned because people think mass migration will go to their city. That's why China has so many empty houses. And yeah, they have empty condos and they're falling apart. A lot of them were put together by shredded Japanese newspaper and rotten apple cores. They're just thrown together, just gumshoe together. Daniel Martinelli says, I think they overblow the ghost city thing in the media. Like to distort everything to make a story. There's lots of people around the corner from those camera shots. There are ghost suburbs in Australia too, but they seem to fill up. And then someone says, "You bet they're falling apart." I gotta get someone from China on the show. Someone in China. So that's affordable rent right now in Vancouver's $3,702. The affordable rent. So that's what it starts at. Yeah, that's why now what's happening, it's gotten so bad that police officers, lawyers, doctors, plastic surgeons, people that, the socialized medicine, so everyone works for the government, can't afford to live in the city or in the surrounding of the city. They got to commute 2-3 hours to work. That's how bad it is. Because like $3,702 affordable rent, okay, you got to make at least $6,000 a month net to pay for your food, your living expenses, your Oh, okay. Number one, it says my wife is from China. I spent years working in China. Yeah, man. You know what? Add me on Skype. If you don't have Skype, it's free. Just go get Skype. It's free. It's an application for your phone. Add me. It's Mike Martin's 1980. I'd like to know what is happening. What happened in China? What is going on? If you know, if you could give us an update on what happened when you lived in China and worked in China, we'd like to know. You know what I'm saying? Get some inside knowledge. So that's the average right there. Studio apartment, 1 bedroom, starts at $1,700. So, all right. So California's housing market is retreating in prices too, guys. Starting to see falls. 100,000 Californians moved to Las Vegas, with 100K more to come, according to LasVegasRealEstate.org. So this was sent to me from somebody that actually lives on the Strip, on the Las Vegas Strip. And they're very anti-Californian there. I don't know why, but there's a lot of places that are very anti-Californian. And a lot of people are getting their cars vandalized, saying go back to California and stuff like that. And that's what's happening there, right? So 100,000 plus Californians moved to Las Vegas, with 100,000 more coming. Yep. And it's just people trying to live a life. People trying to set a life up. People trying to, just make ends meet. The median house is still $290 in Nevada, right? You can still pick up something for $290, right? And if there's jobs, I mean, you could do okay, right? $290, interest rates, let's say at 3%. That's about $700 a month in finance charges to finance that money. $600 a month. So if you did, like, say, a 24-year amortization with a 4-year term, you're looking at about $1,100 a month, including property tax, and that's all in, and home insurance, $1,150 a month. So, yeah, guys, I just wanted to put that out there. I just wanted to know, some feedback on what you guys going on. Guys, don't forget to add me to Skype. It's Mike Martins 1980, MikeMartins 1980 on Skype. I would love to have you on the show. Give us some feedback. I got quite a few people from Australia on the show last week. I got a gentleman from Toronto 2 days ago, and I got another person that's running for. I want to have Goldie. What's her name? Faith Goldie. On the show. She's running for Toronto mayor of Toronto, and she's completely blacked out by the media. So the media's pulling a Ron Paul. I'll call it a Ron Paul. If there wasn't a media blackout during the elections in, I think it was 2012 or whatever it was, Ron Paul would have been president of the United States. But there was a huge media blackout on him, so nobody even knows that he even ran. You know what I'm saying? So Mikey rides it. It's Spreteza. It's awesome. I watch all his videos. And someone's saying, which part of China were you in? Chinese government really clamping down on money being sent overseas. Oh, big time. He was in the Harbin in Heiliangongjang district. I'm not sure where that is. I've been to China, but I'm not sure where that is. But traveled all over. Okay, buddy, we need to have you. Add me on Skype. Thing. I can keep you as hi Tinga. My daughter's here, guys. My daughter's here to visit Daddy. Come, baby. She got her hands dirty. She got a pile of candy cane. She was candy cane all over her. There's my daughter. She's half Filipino and half Portuguese. Tinga, hi, hola. She's shy. But anyways, yeah, I this is why I moved to the country. I moved here because I wanted a new life. I wanted a new lease on life. I wanted a new chapter in life. I couldn't live in the city, man. I couldn't live in the city. I just couldn't do it. You know, I wanted my family to have space. I want a trampoline in my backyard. I want, you know, I want. Yeah, sure, I want. But I work for it. I work for it. I pay my way. I pay my dues. I pay my taxes. No way. See? I pay my way. So when people wanting my life, because they're, you know what I mean, trashing me and giving me a hard time in the comments and stuff and making up fake accounts to trash me because they want my life and they think they deserve my life and didn't even work a day in their lives. You know what I'm saying? Comments are going nuts, people. Yeah, this is my daughter. Yeah, pee. You know, everyone's holding back on having families. My life changed when I had Antonio, my first son. My life changed. My life did a full 180. I had no idea. I didn't know what to expect until he was born. And the only time you feel real love is when you have your own creation in your arms. When you have your own creation in your arms and holding your own creation. And having that, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful, and I'm super grateful. You know what I'm saying? I talked to my daughter in Portuguese. So one day, falas português? Yeah. I talk to her always in Portuguese because hopefully in the next 10 to 15, 20 years, the market in Brazil might get better. If they get, they have the population, they have the resources, the minerals, they have everything going for them. Exports, and at least if she speaks Portuguese, she could go there, she could go to Portugal, she could go to Angola and work in a mining rig, or not a mining, oil rig, doing like analytics and stuff. Whatever she wants to do, you know. If she wants to be a chemical engineer, she go work in Mozambique. If she speaks Portuguese, you know. But anyways, I'm going to make One Man's Way. He's been always in the comments here supporting me. I'm going to make him a moderator so he could moderate my channel. So anyone that... He's got my back. I got One Man's Way. I got Oates. I got Mikey Rides It. I got a lot of good moderators here on the channel, so I don't get flagged with you know, my videos don't get flagged with spam and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, guys, I just wanted to. Number one is saying China has 5 tiers of cities. Okay, number one, I need to have you on the show, man. You gotta tell us. You have to educate us on this stuff. I need the government to. I need this guy to come on the show to explain to us. He worked in China. He's married to a Chinese woman, and maybe he could give us a bit of insight on what's happening in what really is happening in China. Cool. Okay, guys, I'm gonna sign off. It's 2 hours now. I've been on the air. So, somebody added me. Okay, he added me on Skype, and okay, hopefully, I'll go and approve him right now. And then maybe we'll have him on the show sometime during the week, and he could ask us or educate us on what's happening in China, or what he learned. Like, obviously, when you live there for so many years, you start becoming the. Anyways, guys, thanks for everything. Thanks, One Man's Way. Yeah, if you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a dodgeball. Thanks, One Man's Way. Thanks, everybody, for being in the comments today. Brandon McKay. Thank you, Steve the Plumber. Steve the plumber says he'll be home in 10 minutes. I have been on the air for 2 hours now. Do you guys want me to stay on the air, or do you guys want me to go? You guys want me to stay or not? Tell me now. Stay or go? Stay or go? Should I stay or go? Kevin Thompson in the comments section. Yeah, I'll go for a little bit longer. I got quite a few people. Hopefully Steve the plumber could call me. He'd give me some insight. Oh no, she doesn't go to bed now. She napped in the day. Yeah, yeah, okay, call me, Steve. Just call me. I'm here. And you can give us a bit of an insight what's happened and how somebody broke into your car in Vancouver. And my daughter's on the phone there. She's got a fake phone. Anyways, no. Okay, I'll stay on. No, I've spent I spend most of the day with my kids, guys. I take them to work all the time. They spend the day with me all day at work. I spend lots of time with my children. And not only that is, I'm always with them anyway. It doesn't really matter. Like, I'm always with my kids all the time, like nonstop. So, like, sometimes I take my son to the store and he hangs out, and then sometimes I take my daughter for half the day, and it's good. I like taking my kids to work because I own my own damn business, right? So hopefully Steve the plumber could call. All right, let me see if I can get Steve the plumber on the horn here. He apparently got pulled over by the police. Let's find out what happened with him. Let's see if the police searched this car, you know what I'm saying? I gotta find him here in my, there he is. Let's see if he picks up.
Now subscriber you are trying to reach is not available. Please leave your message after the tone.
So he's not available. Too bad. He'll be available soon. He said he'd be home in 10 minutes. STP. Stay together, please. Steve the plumber, I'd like to know, get some insight. He did come to Vancouver, but he did not visit me. I'm very upset that he didn't come up to visit me. But I don't blame him for not coming to visit me in Vancouver, in Merritt, because there was a bit of smoke in the air. It was pretty bad, and I don't blame him. And I think his wife is pregnant too. So I don't want that. I don't want him to feel like uncomfortable coming here and with the smoke, and you know. Yeah, Kevin Thompson said, yeah, the cops pulled him over. I think they were searching his car, so I'm not too sure what happened. So we'll get him on the phone soon and find out what they were looking for. What that means. My daughter. See, I'm always with my kids. Always. It's a good life, you know. And then Buddy said, I want the financial freedom you have. H1H, I think H1H. H1H says, I want financial freedom like you have. Guys, there's one little key for financial freedom. Don't go into debt. No matter how tempting it is, no matter how much you want something, don't go into debt. Get a debt calculator. Get a debt calculator for your phone. Type in what you're paying on a credit card, for example, and then see how much it would cost you. See how much it would cost you in 5 years to carry a $10,000 debt, and then once you see how much you're forking out towards interest payments, you start realizing that the reason why you're bogged down is the amount of debt that you're carrying at high interest rates. And the problem is people don't only have one credit card. There's a lot of people with 7, 8 credit cards, and they have a blended rate. So once you have a blended rate, it becomes a nightmare. You're actually paying, in reality, anywhere from 5 to 7% per month in interest because you're blending your rate into one debt. And you see how much you're paying in the blended rate. You gotta be very careful with that. Tinga, baby. She's trying to write on the walls, but she can't get the cap off the pen. So, she's dancing now. Anyways, so hopefully Steve the plumber could come on, because I have to hit the bathroom real quick here. And he could talk for like, you know. My buddy consolidated his debt to a car loan at 9%. But 9% is not bad if, like I said, you have a 20% Sears card, a 30% Hudson's Bay, a 30% Canadian Liars card, a 17% Capital One, a 12% this. You are doing better paying 9% on one debt, right? Uh-oh, she found stickers. It's my little girl. I'm so happy I got a daughter. I'm so happy. Thought it was going to be all boys. Low Roller Scratcher says, Mike Martins, can you retire in the Philippines when you are older, since your wife is from the Philippines? Yes, I can. I will retire in the... I can retire, but I might want to also retire. I might retire in Portugal and Philippines, so I could spend my summers in Portugal. Adeus. I'm going to spend my summers in Portugal and my winters in the Philippines. And, you know what I'm saying? And then someone's commenting here, are you still bringing people on with student... Yeah, guys, if you have student loan debt and it's turning out to become a nightmare, and you basically have, or you're in a situation where you bit off more than you could chew, I want you on the show, please. I really want to know what's happening. Adeus. I want to, if you got student loan debt, I want to know what's going on. I want to know how it's affected your life. I want to learn, we want to understand how it's held you back on making decisions, business decisions, held you back on getting a mortgage, held you back on pretty much most of your life. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to know. I always like to know. Alex says, I pay $900 a month in student loans. BuzzFeed video on YouTube. I actually saw that video. I think it was a lady. Was it a lady? If I remember right. With black hair. And Bernardo De Leon says, hello, Martin. You're lucky to have a Filipino wife. Thanks for all the info. Yeah, Alex is saying, yeah, I remember that. I remember that video. And China's, yeah, see, number one is there. Belinda Mercer saying that really sucks, suck it to students. Yeah, like I said, student loans, you know what student loans are? They became something to help float the economy. Banks used to do student loans, and before student loans, you just work the summer and pay off your car and your used car the whole summer and pay for your courses and books. Now it's changed so much that you got to borrow money to be educated now, to get education. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Mike, I need to take a leak, and I'll call you. Give me 5 minutes. My back teeth are floating, bud. Sorry. China can't stop Bitcoin. And Alex says, school is a scam. Everything knowledge is online for free. Guys, you got to remember my level of education. I have a grade 6, grade 7 reading level. I barely finished high school. I finished high school because they put me on some mechanic program, fixing transmissions, because I didn't have the, what do you call it, the academics to finish high school. I wasn't like smart enough to finish high school. But I've done well all my life. I thought outside the box all my life. All my life I thought outside the box. Do you know why? Because I had to be one step ahead of everybody else that was qualified to live a good life, you know? Someone's saying, you're totally right, they can't. And someone says, what do you think about Bitcoin and silver? I've been stacking silver for like 15 years. Adeus. I've been stacking silver for 15 years, guys. I'm going to do a silver show. I'm going to get a silver expert on the show to call in. I need to get a silver expert on the show so we could go over some different types of silver, 1 ounce, 5 and 10 ounce bars. Silver is a good way to hedge against inflation if you're looking to invest. You want to diversify your portfolio as much as possible. You want like maybe 3, 4, maybe 5% silver. 5 is pretty high. 3% silver, 5% cash. You want maybe 3 or 4% gold, and then you want like 30% stock, and then 20-30% real estate. You know, like I own more stock than I do in real estate value. Like I have more stock in value than I do real estate, than what my house is worth. You know what I'm saying? Because markets are where the money's at, right? You need to be street smart. College degrees is no guarantee you will get a high-paying job. And Mike Rides, it says, silver seems like it's a value is never going to be realized. Like I said, guys, there's more silver paper certificates out there than there is physical silver on the planet. Silver is the same extraction process as gold. So silver is costing a lot of money to extract for the mere couple of dollars per ounce that they're making off it. You know what I'm saying? So 20 to 30 bucks an ounce, 20 bucks Canadian per ounce, it's 16 US an ounce. So right now, silver is a bargain. If you could pick up silver at the Toronto Bullion Exchange, if you're in Toronto, there's a lot of places that sell. Don't buy that fancy craft silver and they make money off it. No, just buy bullion bars, stamped. I think Scotiabank and I think Bank of America, I don't know if Bank of America does it still, but you could go, hi. You could go and then you could just buy an ounce right there. You don't want the certificate. You don't want the paper. You don't want them to give you a paper. Someone's saying 500 papers to 1 physical silver. Oh yeah, for sure. 999, yeah, 0.999 is a troy ounce. Kevin Thompson said interest rates are rising, guys. And then Low Roller Scratcher says, what do you think buying silver coins on the shopping network? Don't buy that stuff. Go to the bullion exchange. They sell for what it's trading at on the market that day. They look it up on the second you're standing there. If it goes up 2 cents, they charge you 2 cents. If it goes down 50 cents, they charge you 50 cents less. Go to the bullion exchange. Okay, guys? I talked to the guard at the mint, and he said the director of the mint told him to buy physical silver. Street smart bridges. Air flight. Tinga. Cuidado. Cost of borrowing doubled in 1 year. And Steve the plumber said 1 minute. But it won't be worth anything until there's a run on silver. Everyone calls in their paper for physical. Oh yeah, watch what happens when everyone calls in their gold certificates for physical. Watch what's going to happen with that. Low Roller says, so buying silver coins is a huge scam. Yeah, don't buy that crap from the shopping network. Do not buy that crap. Go to the bullion. Belinda says, I'm going to try to pay my house off this year. LOL, but true. Yeah, work towards that. Set that goal. Pay it off. But guys, don't buy crap off the shopping network. Do you remember when Randy's father was buying necklaces and gold on South Park? And the guy was trying to sell stuff on South Park on the home shopping network, and Randy's father was buying stuff to leave for his son, but he wasn't doing it the right way. He had the heart to do it, but he didn't. You know what I'm saying? So someone says, Donald G says, good for you, Mike. Most Canadians are 300% real estate and think it could only go up and pay for hold it. Tinga. Yeah, Randy is the best character for sure. That being said, I'm holding some silver and getting some more silver gold dog. Silver Dog Bull is a good place. Yep. Real estate is about to crash. Everybody is on verge here. And I got Steve the plumber. I hope he didn't get arrested, but he'll be calling into the show hopefully in the next couple of minutes here. He's calling right now, according to what he's saying in the comment section. And I'm going to hit a washroom break here and take my daughter upstairs. And yeah, I got to get one. He added me on thing here, so I'm going to check him out in a bit here. And where's STP? He said he's calling now. Who's he calling? And then what's going on here? Come on, Steve, where are you? Here we go. Steve! Steve, are you there?
I am. How is this?
Who the hell is this? That's my line. I'm supposed to say that. I'm going to hit the washroom, buddy. Go ahead and talk. What's going on, buddy? Oh, tell him the story about how someone broke into your car in Vancouver.
No. You know what? Everybody, just chill out, Mike. Go drain the sock. Come back. Just do what you got to do.
Okay, fine. Talk for a bit.
Just go take a leak, bud. I'll be here. Don't worry about it. Going on, Mosby?
Miami, get out of here.
Mawubi, Kevin Thompson. Who else is in the live chat?
I just took a leak and a half.
A leak and a half?
Oh, well, I don't think I have to urinate tomorrow.
Really? Did you miss?
No, I did. It was good. Anyway, so what's going on, buddy?
Oh, not much. Pretty eventful evening, that's for sure.
What do you got for us?
Besides the Ontario finest giving me a yank on the side of the road of the 401. Yeah, there's a lot going on. I really do apologize about not coming to see you while I was in Vancouver. I actually had all forms of communication pretty much lost, and I tried to go into Rogers and basically get a new phone, so to speak. And then there was an uphill battle with not having correct ID, and they wanted 2 forms of ID and everything else. So I thought to myself, you know what? I better just get the heck home, all things considered, just in case, because of the other half.
Okay. Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear. I'm really sorry to hear what happened. I'm really sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate set of circumstances, but yeah, they'll break into your car in Vancouver for 5 cents.
Yeah, they will. They'll break into your car in Vancouver. You have anything shiny. It doesn't even matter if it's money. It's shiny.
Oh well, they didn't get too much, but it's all good.
Yeah. Okay, so fill us in. What's happening with the real estate market? What's going on?
Everything's pretty much stopped north of the 401, so York region, Mississauga, Brampton, Richmond Hill, Thornhill, Aurora, Newmarket, Markham, Ajax is pretty much, how do I put it this way? Ajax is basically the same. Everyone's basically hit the brakes, and nothing's moving. significantly. We're starting to see things in the 1.2 to 1.5 range. Really, the average days on market starting to basically come to a screeching halt. Anything south of that, basically anything affordable or what people can get a mortgage for, that's what it's resulting in. That's what's moving. What else do you want to know, Mike?
So, any appraiser information? Any more foreclosures happening?
Yeah, they're actually escalating. You had an amazing article that I was listening to while I was driving. I'd love to know where that video clip came from or whatnot about foreclosures within Canada, especially Toronto and Vancouver. I'd like to replay that for myself. So if you can shoot me a quick text with that info, that would be brilliant. But yes, the actual market itself, a lot of people are walking away. The Lost Canuck mentioned something in the comments section. Don't quote me on this. He mentioned CIBC and basically giving out mortgages without any income verification to basic foreign buyers, as long as they had, I think it's 30 to 35% skin in the game. That's obviously stopped now. Well, yeah. But we're starting to see a lot of those deals where people, foreign buyers, had bought a year ago to date, maybe a little bit longer, and now that the house prices have come down, between 25 and 40%, and nothing's selling, they're actually walking away from the house.
Yes.
Because they're in a negative equity position.
Yes. And the article's called, that Steve is mentioning, is called Canadians, it's by Global News. It's called Canadians Underwater, Where Exactly Rising Interest Rates May Leave Canadians in Danger of Losing Their Homes. So that's the article there that Steve's mentioning, and the video is the first video right here. This article actually has 3 videos combined in 3 different parts of the article, giving an explanation. What did you think of that lady playing 12% VIG and 20% VIG on her mortgage?
Yeah, so that mortgage basically is destined to fail. In actual fact, whoever wrote that second mortgage at 20% is a fool. Yeah. Because they're second in line to get paid once they move in. It's basically the first charge mortgage on that property. When they're first, whether it be private funds or not, subsequently what ends up happening, they get paid first.
Yeah, the first lien gets paid first, then the second lien, and then any lines of credits, and then it goes to credit cards, and then it goes to automotive.
I can see where you're going with that. Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
And the CRA, in terms of back taxes or anything like that, they don't necessarily go to the top of the list, but they'll go anywhere between the second mortgage holder and the credit card, so to speak.
Speaking of second mortgage holders, did you hear? I know you were listening to me while you were driving. Did you hear what's happening in Florida? It's crashing.
I heard that. It very much so is. Things are changing there real quick, real fast. And I did own real estate there up until about 2 years ago. About 2.5 years ago, and I had sold. It was with a bunch of, basically there was 3 friends. We all got in, bought a place for cash when it was in the tank in 2009. And we basically all put in to buy this place for 130 large.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, the average median price in Dade County and Broward County is still around the 270 to 325 median, but people can't afford to make those payments.
That's right. The income just isn't there, and it's not good. It's not good at all. I think we are going to, in Toronto, we are going to be a mirror image of Vancouver, and Canada as a whole. I think what we're going to actually see is something very, very similar to the U.S. It may not be a carbon copy of the U.S., but in terms of our housing market in the 2 biggest cities, that being Toronto and Vancouver, and the surrounding areas, we're going to see a major, major event happen. There's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime sell-off. There's going to be many write-downs and write-offs. You know, the foreclosures and power sales have already started. The bankruptcies and consumer proposals are going to all-time levels, at least consumer proposals, and then bankruptcies to follow. It's going to end in tears for a lot of people, and not very many people really truly understand what's about to happen. Now, Mikey Rides It just said in the comment section, mass exit from big cities. There's actually a mass exit right now that not too many people are talking about. There was a study that was conducted in BNN Bloomberg put out that Toronto, many people are leaving Toronto because they just can't afford it.
Right.
Based on what what they're making and what the cost of living is.
Right.
And it's crazy, Mike.
Do you remember the article I read a few days back? I actually found out from one of the people involved in what's happening in Prince Edward Island. 1 in 3 homes that are being pre-built. 1 in 3 pre-built in Prince Edward Island right now are people from Toronto.
Sorry, say that again, Mike.
Prince Edward Island, Fredericton.
Yep.
1 in 3 pre-builts are actually from people from Toronto buying.
Speculation or relocation?
Relocation.
Wow.
Young families. Prince Edward Island is seeing a spike in construction that they haven't seen in over 22 years.
Wow.
Yep, I read the article about a week and a half ago, and I spoke to someone on Facebook Messenger that's one of the persons that actually bought a house in Prince Edward Island, and he's got a teaching job. So he's going to be teaching in Fredericton, and he bought a house for, I think it was $129 for a 4-bedroom.
That's incredible. So if you take what they make, and they don't make much less than somebody, teaching in Toronto or in Vancouver, and you know what? Even if it's $10,000 less, Mike.
Yeah.
That mortgage is not even a mortgage. That mortgage, let's say you put 20% down and he's got 100,000, 100 large mortgaged. That's the average line of credit for people in Toronto that I personally know.
Yeah, for sure.
They're in debt $100,000 plus mortgage.
Okay, and one in 6 housing sales in the province of Quebec, 1 in 6 are people from Toronto.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. That's why the market's heating up there. I got a real estate agent. I wanted to get him on the show. From Quebec, they keep messaging me and they added me on Skype, but we're not getting any. I'm not getting. It's the time zone difference too, right? It's like, what is it, like midnight there?
Yeah, it's about 10 after 12.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a time zone difference. See, if this was in Sydney or some part of Australia, it'd be like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right?
Right.
So, but okay, so that's that. And Winnipeg's seeing a bit of increases in the rents. I brought that up earlier. Winnipeg's seeing some sort of increases now in rents and purchases because I guess it's right here. Hold on, I got that's rental prices. I wanted to see the one. Oh, what do you think of this one? Canadians withdraw another $2 billion in home equity in a month.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to bring that up. So, $2 billion bucks. So, how many people own houses in Canada, Mike? Do you know that number?
I think it's 40. I think that own them free and clear or own houses.
In general, are on title for a house. I don't care whether they own it free and clear or they're mortgaged to the hilt and they're in a negative equity position.
Okay, I would say 12 million people.
12 million. Wow. Okay.
Do you think I'm right? Because there's 35 million in the country, and I think 12 million of them own homes.
Yeah. I know that you could possibly be right. I'm pretty sure that it's equal to 3/3 is owned.
Okay, so let's say 17 million.
Yeah. Okay, sure. Why not? So anyways, that said, if you did the math, that's a lot of money, Mike.
Well, 2 billion. We're not talking about 2 billion pesos. We're talking 2 billion Canadian dollars. That's 1.67 billion American dollars.
I would love to know when these lenders are going to wake up when they see how many people are pulling their money out because they know it's inevitable and they know that what's coming down the pipeline, and they want to be able to make an about face and walk away. The big thing now at the banks is Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and this has been happening for the last 6 to 8 months, and they're not talking about this, and I just saw this, I just found out this the other day. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, one of them is going off title.
Really?
One of them is remaining on title.
Wow. So if they get foreclosed on, one of them still has credit.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah,
that is a huge thing within the GTA right now. A huge thing.
So people removing their spouses or loved ones off title so they don't get the burden of the financial burden when the debt collector comes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
So what ends up happening is they're removed, and what a lot of these people don't realize is there's a 2-year statute of limitation on them being responsible for that house. So if Mr. and Mrs. Smith, if Mrs. Smith drops off title, there's a 2-year waiting period. Same thing as if a director leaves a corporation, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That director is personally liable for anything that corporation is basically on the hook for, whether it be HST or withholdings for income tax for its employees in terms of source deductions, a number of different things. They are personally liable for it for 2 years. I don't know if people realize that or not, but it's a big thing. A very big thing. So it's interesting. And just getting back to Kevin Thompson's comment about the foreign buyers walking away, it's not that easy. You know what, buddy? It is that easy. When there's no recourse and all they do is walk back to China and they walk away, how in God's creation are you going to track somebody down in Canada for a faulty mortgage? Like it's not going to happen. So that's what's happening. That's how it's done. They're walking away, throwing in the towel, saying, by the time I sell this, if I can sell it, I'm going to have to sell it at a loss, pay the realtor, screw this. They do that with cars, too. They do that with cars. They'll lease cars, and then, they got to go back to China, and next thing you know, they just dump the car.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if you remember. Okay, I didn't bring this up, but there was actually at the Miami International Airport, people left Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches. They just left them at the airport and left. This was in the first crash in 2007.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, they just abandoned Porsches, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, all kinds of expensive cars, left at the airport and never came back for them, never cared for them.
Yeah, I agree. Belinda Mercer, where are you located?
She's in Florida.
Where in Florida?
I think she's in Broward County or Dade County. I'm not sure.
Okay, because I know a Belinda Mercer in Florida.
Really?
Yeah. I'm sure it's not the same one because she'd recognize my voice and she has some choice words for me.
She's in Broward County. So
I'm sure it's not the same one. Like I said, she'd recognize my voice and probably have some choice words for me.
Oh, Belinda, are you east or west of 95? I wonder if she's east or west of I-95. Okay, so let's go to the next thing here. So did you see the 10 cities are on the brink of serious housing crisis in the United States? Did you? Okay, I'm going to go back to a couple of cities here. What was it? Baltimore, Detroit, Chicago. Listen to this, Steve. Total number of homes underwater, 69,390. Percentage of homes with mortgages and negative equity, 22%.
Mike, So this is in Chicago?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I was in Chicago in the summertime, and I arrived just as they implemented the sugar tax.
Okay.
So the city, in terms of, Illinois, that is, they're broke. And so are the people of the city and the outskirts. That state itself is going to default, in my opinion. If what you're saying is true,
and I'm looking at it,
they're around the 20%. Yeah, there's no turning back from that.
Okay, Detroit, total number of homes underwater, 4,964. Percentage of homes with mortgages and negative equity, 38%. Baltimore, total number of homes underwater, 25,313. Percentage of homes with mortgages and negative equity, 30%. So, and these are average $190,000 to $275,000 mortgages.
Well, I would love to know the percentage of mortgages or houses that are people that own houses that are currently in a negative equity position. I would love to know. I know it's not 30%. I know that for a fact, but I have reason to believe it's upwards of 10 to 15% are in a negative equity position in Canada. I want to find that number out because that number is very, very big.
Can I tell you what I think it is?
Go ahead, Mike. Let her rip.
9.6%.
Really?
Yeah.
And how did you calculate that number? Just curious.
Well, if you're looking at the amount borrowed on HELOCs if you take the percentages of numbers of people borrowing just to eat, to consume, and then if you take if you're looking at what the mass exoduses are going and how many properties are owned by foreign ownership versus how many properties are owned by Canadian proper, and then if you subtract movement in the middle class and rates wages not going up, it's sitting at around 9.8%, anywhere from 8.5 to maybe 10 points. If someone from Better Dwelling, attention, there's about 2 people watching me from Better Dwelling on this channel. If you are from Better Dwelling, you need to write us an article about what's the percentage point of houses underwater. We need to know the total number of homes underwater, give or take. It doesn't have to be perfect, a ballpark figure, and percentages of homes with mortgages and negative equity. So if you are from Better Dwelling and you are watching this show, can you please make an article about this? I'd be very, very happy to see this. Because usually they just write articles when I talk about something. The next day they have an article up about it, which is really cool. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Kevin Thompson just brought out something very interesting, and I want to add to this. He says private mortgages are 38% of all mortgages so far this year. And that's very, very interesting, and that's great. Usually the terms are 1 to 2 years, give or take. I'm just saying, which are usually 1-year loans. Yeah, 1-year loans. There you go. 1 to 2, 1 to 3 years, give or take. And that's basically that. However, private money, in terms of private mortgages, they don't show up on the radar.
Oh, of course they don't. Of course they don't show up on the radar because they're not going through CMHC and all that other crap, right?
Yeah, and basically banks and whatnot. So your A and B lenders, they kind of sort of show up. When you get down to the C lenders, the private money, so on and so forth, those numbers don't show up. From total amount of mortgages as a whole, to basically, foreclosures or write-offs or write-downs, those don't show up at all. Now, 38% of all mortgages so far this year, Now, that is basically a guesstimate. It is a good guesstimate, and that's what people are going for. It's under 40% because they look at the total amount of transactions and they look at the total amount of loans from the A lenders and B lenders. And when the math doesn't add up, that's where they get that 38% or 40% or 35%, whatever that magic number is.
Well, because the land title records, the land transfer, land title records will make up the difference, right? Because you'll know which ones that haven't been showing up on the radar, right? Because
very true.
You can't avoid the land transfer tax, right? And land title, you can't avoid that. That's got to be public, right? So that's the only way they could catch that is by seeing that movement or the titles changing hands. But through a shadow mortgage, you'll still see the title changing hands. You don't know, it won't show up on a credit bureau usually, but it's still changing hands somehow, right?
Right. The only time that land transfer tax doesn't come into play, from what I've been told, and I'm pretty sure this is accurate, is when a house is gifted to, for example, father gifts the house to son.
Yeah.
And the only time that land transfer tax is not paid is when that house is free and clear, and he transfers it over. So in other words, there's no mortgage on it, there's no nothing. He's gifted the house to his son.
Okay, I get it. But that's very minimal. That's not a big thing that's happening, right? That's not. I think you maybe get one gift a day in Canada across the board. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think it's a big thing. You know what I'm saying? So did you hear the other article I read? Canada's fastest growing real estate prices aren't Toronto and Vancouver. Fastest growing right now is Fraser Valley, where I live, in the Fraser Valley. Cities like Kelowna, Kamloops, they're just out of control right now, and it's manipulating the prices of houses there. The average median home price in Kelowna is $600,000 now, and it used to be $200,000 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, Vancouver Island is being affected. I think it's about 600. It tells you right here. And then it's Victoria, then Ottawa are up there. So people are leaving. And the ones with negative are in the negative right now is Toronto, Edmonton, Calgary, Saskatoon, Barrie, Ontario, and Regina. Barrie is down almost 5 points right now of real estate annual price change. Barrie's there. Barrie is one of the big ones in Ontario that people should look out for. Toronto's there, but it's only 0.6% change. And then Edmonton is at 1.27, but Barrie's at 3% change.
Wow.
And Regina's at 4.81%, almost 5 points.
Incredible.
Yep. So everyone's, like I said, mass exodus out of the big cities. People just don't want to deal with it anymore. And what did you think about the crane counts? Toronto tops North America crane counts. 400 more projects proposed.
Yeah, I think we're getting into a situation where we have been overbuilding for quite some time. I know that builders aren't building these massive homes anymore. They're starting to build smaller homes and more of them. And right now, I think people or builders in general are looking at how people are qualifying and what they can qualify for. And I think condos are the only thing that is still moving in Toronto like gangbusters. Now, we have seen that market kind of cool off, but at the same point in time, it's also being saturated by foreign money. Because there is a loophole in Toronto, Mike. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but as soon as they buy 5 or more properties, or buy commercial real estate, or buy an apartment building, or an entire damn floor of a condo, they are exempt from the foreign buyer tax, from what my understanding is.
Yeah, there's some sort of a loophole, so they want the elite rich to come in and buy now.
Right, absolutely. So that's what's going on. I'm not sure. I wanted just to talk to you quickly, Mike. Did you hear about our friends over at TREB, the Toronto Real Estate Board?
Yes, I read that article, the TREB article, about something, what was it, about numbers not being...
Yeah, so basically now, so they lost their appeal. They're done.
Yes, that's right, because now they're going to have to start publishing numbers, and it's people at home could do their own research, and they could actually don't need a real estate agent anymore, because they could crunch the numbers and do everything at home and find out if they could do it. And TREB were working so hard to hide these numbers for so long, and then they lost. The Supreme Court just didn't want to hear it. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so they're now flip-flopping. Their true colors did come out. They said, oh, you know, it's an invasion of privacy when you publish all that stuff, so on and so forth, and all this other bull. The fact of the matter is, they do not care about your privacy, okay? All they care about is that those numbers are not readily available to the general public by way of point and click. Okay, if you really want those numbers, you got to go to the land registry office and pay for every single search in order to get it done. Or you have to basically go to a realtor, and that realtor has to give you the information in terms of the comparables, so on and so forth. And the reason why they are freaking out, and now starting the last resort, is they're actually going to start suing, okay, people that are releasing this information. Like, when are they going to give up? Like, anybody from TREB that is listening to this, you guys are a bunch of you guys are a joke, okay? And quite frankly, everything's coming out in the wash. All your games, all your fudge numbers, your skewed numbers, and all the seasonally adjusted numbers and all this other stuff that you created. You guys are a bunch of frauds.
Yep.
And everything is coming out in the wash now, Mike.
Yeah.
Everything.
Oh yeah. A lot of fudging numbers, moving numbers, massaging numbers, and the problem is people don't know where to gauge their investments because they believe in what's being published.
Absolutely, and it's funny. Somebody said something the other day to me. They said, Steve, what's your opinion on this whole thing and whatnot? And I said, well, it's going to be really, really funny how many people went ahead and they're going to search their own house and the houses on their street that sold a year ago, 3 years ago, so on and so forth. And it's actually going to ride home on what their house is actually truly worth, okay, and how much they overpaid. And God forbid they bought a flip or they bought off a speculator or something along those lines, which organized real estate is directly tied, and they have a direct correlation to why this market has gone up gangbusters.
Yeah.
Because, continuously, holding off on offers and all this other stuff and trying to get top dollar and listing the property for next to nothing. And then, having 30 people bid on it. Meanwhile, only 10% of those bids or those offers are even remotely in the ballpark of what, the seller's willing to take or what the house is somewhat worth in that market on that particular day for that particular month.
So
there are realtors that are still doing that, Mike. And it's actually quite funny because they sell the house and they say, oh yeah, sold for 30% over asking. And it's like, yeah, 30% over asking. That's great. I can list a house for $100,000 and get 100 times over asking.
That's right. So they make it more appealing. It's like those nightclubs when you drive by the nightclub and there's a huge lineup of people outside, and you think the nightclub is buzzing, and then once you finally get in there, there's nobody in there.
Oh yeah, it's actually quite funny.
So that's
it's hilarious.
Well, maybe do some in-depth research on TREB and what's going on, and maybe pulling up some numbers for us on the next show, and then we could go over a few numbers and we could go over a few graphs and what's really happening with comparables, and actually looking at some comparables in you know, kind of educating people on what their property is actually really worth. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I'm waiting to see Jason Mercer come out with his report, and his report is going to say something. Oh, everything's great. It's rainbows and unicorns. You know, house prices are going up. You know, the average house price is up X amount. You know, year over year, or you know, from 2016, so on and so forth, and all this other stuff. And I really encourage everybody that listens to the Toronto Real Estate Board numbers, please do not listen to them. You cannot take anything they say for face value, because all their numbers are skewed for the purposes of pumping up the market with false, unreliable data. And if you don't believe me, next time you talk to a real estate agent, I would love for you to ask them what the true definition of seasonally adjusted numbers means.
Yeah, seasonally. It's like it's like when Taco Bell said when they did a test on their meat, on their tacos, they say that only 80% came back as meat. What was the other 20%? They said it was seasoning. You get it? That's what happened with Taco Bell when their meat got tested, and 20% of it wasn't meat. They're like, what the hell is that stuff then? It's seasoning. Just like what they're doing with season numbers. You don't get the full scope of it, but you know, it's well seasoned, right?
Absolutely. I was also going to ask you, Mike, just regarding Vancouver. I follow a real estate agent out there. Oh God, his name escapes me. He's very, very popular out there on the net. He does an update every Steve Saretsky.
Yes.
So I would love to know your take on where Vancouver house prices are going, because it's directly tied to Toronto, and as things happen in Vancouver, Toronto basically follows suit.
But that's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying for the last 5 years. Everything's following a certain pattern, and then Toronto's following suit, and then now Vancouver wants to implement no foreign buyers, no foreigners could buy anymore, right? Just like New Zealand did, right?
So Vancouver is doing that now.
They want to. They implementing it. It's on the table. They want to, right? But I think they probably implement it in the next year or two when they see that everyone's left the city. I don't know who's going to pay. Steve, I could bet you anything you want that they're gonna put tariffs, like for example on the town of Merritt and the city of Kamloops, to send money back to Vancouver to keep their infrastructure going, because there's no one there paying taxes. There's no taxable income there. There's nobody working and living there anymore. Everyone's leaving. So how are they going to maintain that infrastructure, Steve? Can you maybe educate me on that?
Well, if no one's paying taxes, the only way that they're actually going to generate money is by way of land transfer tax. And Vancouver, I'm not sure, does Vancouver have what Toronto has? Do they have a municipal city land transfer tax?
I don't know if they have the municipal, but they just have the provincial one.
Okay, so in Toronto, we have 2 land transfer taxes.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so Toronto's been hurting for a while because the market's been down so much. And there's only so much land transfer tax you're going to get for a box in the sky.
Right.
That said, I'm surprised Vancouver hasn't implemented it. And if they haven't, they will shortly, because what will end up happening is they need that revenue. Otherwise, their infrastructure is basically going to go down the tube.
Well, it's because everybody's leaving, Steve. Everybody's leaving. Like my town, the town I live in, it's like 1 out of 10 people now are from Vancouver in this town. I couldn't believe how many people I've been meeting.
Really?
Yeah. We're getting in like anywhere from 50 to 70 families a month move in. I went to 2 house parties in the last week of new families buying homes and moving in from the coast.
Very interesting.
Yep. I want you to.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess
You know, how are they going to maintain? How's Vancouver going to maintain? You know.
Absolutely. And if foreign buyers are banned in Vancouver, they're going to have to go ahead and do that in Toronto. And if Montreal was smart, Montreal would do the same thing. At least Montreal should put in that foreign buyer tax because their real estate is getting so expensive.
Yeah.
People in Montreal, they cannot afford to pay for this real estate. And what will end up happening is they're going to fall victim like Toronto did, and Toronto proper, and they're going to start taking on these massive amounts of debt, and speculation's going to set in, and then all of a sudden you have a bubble. I really wish the government would realize the ramifications of foreign buyers buying real estate. Hey, you want to come here and invest? You want to come here and buy up office buildings and do this and do that, start up businesses? That's fantastic. But you know what? If you're going to come here and flex your wallet and your wealth and go ahead and start, killing our real estate and making it so expensive so that the only people that can afford it are, your own kind in terms of foreign buyers, there's a problem with that. And if I was a foreign buyer looking at the situation, I would, under no circumstances, go ahead and buy like they're buying, because eventually they're going to have to sell it.
Yeah.
And that house is only worth what the Toronto proper, for example, can bloody well pay for it.
And that's about $360,000 to $400,000.
Well, do the math. You're absolutely right. Like $100,000. What does $100,000 get you in mortgage with 20% down?
Well, if you, let's say you mortgaged 100,000% full, right? You're paying at what the rates are about $5,000 a year. Let's say $200,000, you're paying $10,000 a year at 5%. $300,000, you're paying $15,000. So the average is about $380 to $450 for a detached home, for a good detached home, 4-bedroom.
Right. Absolutely. And even if you put another $50,000 a year annually on for a combined household income, that really doesn't get you much more. Like that doesn't get you any more than $500K.
Yeah. Once you factor in the stress testing, once you factor in how much. Remember that calculation I did with you on the phone. We did a calculation together on one of the shows, and the person had to put down $105,000 to buy that $700,000 townhome.
Yes.
And he had to make $190,000 a year.
Yeah, it makes you wonder where people's thought process is and how much debt they're going into, but more importantly, how much mortgage fraud. And we haven't talked about that enough. We've talked about it in the U.S., but we haven't talked about the amount of mortgage fraud that's taken place over the last 3 to 5 years. I mean, this is what I don't understand, and I'd love for somebody to truly answer this question. Whether it's private mortgages or not, if house prices in Toronto or Vancouver year over year went up 20% or 30%, I would love to know who got a 20 or 30% wage increase to support those numbers.
The politicians did.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
I meant in terms of total debt service ratio. I would really love to know how people are qualifying for the same house a year or two later. That's 30% more.
Okay.
I want to know where the income verification is coming from.
Okay. Do you remember that article I read a few days ago about Portland, Oregon is tipping at $401,000 because people making the average median income in Portland, Oregon is $81,000 a year, and they can't service a $401,000 mortgage?
Yeah.
So we're talking about multi-million-dollar homes now in Vancouver and Toronto.
Yeah, that's insane. We have a problem, and I don't know when the end is coming, but I think the end is near. We're seeing a lot of people that are, underwater. Like, I mean, that woman there, $6,000 a month to live in that house. I don't know too many people that have $6,000 a month to put towards their living expenses.
Well, that's net. That's not gross. So net, she's got to make $9,000 a month to net $6,000.
And then she's got to eat and keep the frickin' lights on.
Yeah, and eating it has gotten pretty expensive in the last year.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And you know what my favorite is, Steve? My favorite is, yeah, oil's going to go down again, and yeah, gas will go down. Nope. If oil goes down to $20 a barrel, you know how much gas will be per liter, Steve?
Tell me.
$5 to $6 a liter.
Wow.
Well, they has to. When oil was $120 a barrel, we were paying about in and around $1 a liter. Oil goes down in a span of 6 months. Do you remember this 2 years ago? Oil goes down to $20-$30 a barrel. Boom, gas goes to $1.60, $1.50, $1.60, because people think because the price of oil is expensive, it's expensive to produce the gas. No, it's not. The price of oil goes down, the price of gas goes right up to make up the difference from the loss of the oil that didn't make oil producing countries. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
So
I absolutely hear you.
And do you know why when oil tanked in Venezuela? And the price, you know why Venezuela couldn't make it? It's because the people couldn't afford the price of gas. That's why. Because if the price of oil goes down, the government in turn raises the price of gas to make up the deficit, right? But the people in Venezuela couldn't afford the raise in gas prices. So the economy completely got dismantled.
I agree.
And that's the thing. But if Venezuela could have kept going, if they had a better job structure and they started charging $2-3 a liter, I think they would have. I think they could have weathered it out. But they just didn't have the middle class to do it. Canada does, and that's why Canada's middle class is disappearing.
I hear you there. That's a big a big problem. So, Mike, we're approaching Q4. Interest rate hike in September is highly unlikely. I believe it's at around 20%. October rate hike is at 75 or 80%. That's going to flip-flop. I believe he's going to go, Bank of Canada, Stephen Paul is going to go another 25 basis points in October, and I think that'll be it for the year.
Well, we have to focus on the where the Canadian U.S. dollar is at for that.
I think that's a very, that's very, very, very true. Hopefully we can get a NAFTA deal done, and we can get that in play, because I mean, if he taxes autos, it's all done. It's all over.
Can I ask your opinion on something about the NAFTA agreement? It's kind of important. Do you think that our current government has the cojones to actually get a deal done or not?
My personal opinion, I think the key movers and shakers in terms of our Prime Minister, he is not qualified to run the country first and foremost. Anybody who wants to disagree with me, that's fine. But remember something. This guy is not very well educated, and at best, he is a high school drama teacher with somewhat reasonably good physique and good hair. And to me, that doesn't appeal to me. Perhaps a middle-aged, horny housewife, it might. But, it doesn't appeal to me. That said, Krista Freeland, she's got to pull up her socks, and it's very simple. You are either going to concede and make some concessions to get a deal done by with Donald Trump, and hope to God in 2020 he's no longer in office, and then try to get something revised. Because if we don't give Donald Trump the dairy that he requires, he's basically saying, all right, that's fine. I'm holding the purse strings. I'm going to go ahead, and yeah, it's going to affect the U.S. economy, but it's going to affect Canada way worse, and I'm going to go ahead and tax autos and put tariffs on autos. And you know what? The hell with you guys. You're going to go down like a sinking ship.
I think, in my opinion, Steve, if a lot of the if a lot of the farmers in Wisconsin got back into the dairy, hold on, I'm hearing myself talk. Are you listening to the show on the side?
No, I am not.
Okay, because I could hear myself talk back. That's cool.
Okay, that's cool.
I could hear. But if Wisconsin could pick up their because the Wisconsin cheese production went down during the Obama administration by about 40%, and if Wisconsin could pull up its socks and get people back to work there in the dairy, because Wisconsin is the biggest dairy manufacturer in the United States, if they could get back at least 10% or 20% of the workforce that they had, they could cover their own dairy needs.
Okay.
Yeah. Just wanted to throw that out there. In case Donald Trump's watching.
Well, Donald Trump is going to get what he wants one way or another. And at this point, what really doesn't sit well with me is, and I don't want to bring up politics any more than I have to, but regrettably, you're going to go ahead and you're going to make a decision not to go to court on the basis of what it's going to cost to fund the civil litigation. Instead, you're going to go ahead and give a terrorist $5 million, okay, to go away and shut up. I think his name's Omar Gaddafi, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, you're going to go ahead and you're going to try to go up against Donald Trump and his administration and go toe-to-toe with him. Meanwhile, what you should be doing is cowarding, doing what you need to do, making some concessions. You know what? You're going to get the short end of the stick because Canada is not the U.S. Canada does not have enough power over the U.S. You are going to get the short end of the stick. Now, how short is that stick? That all depends on your approach. You have to concede we will lose one way or another. So, you know what? You gave a terrorist $5 million to shut up because you didn't want to go to court and fight the allegation. So be it. Well, you know what, Trudeau? You should walk into that meeting with Donald Trump with your bloody purse in your hand and sit down and just take everything you can possibly get so that he doesn't go ahead and impoverish and kill the entire Canadian economy.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, 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 very well said. Yeah. Because
am I saying something wrong, Mike?
Nope.
Let's call it spade a shovel.
You know what? It's our entire futures are at stake here.
Right. Exactly. So I mean, it's one of those things. Either we give in now or we bleed through every orifice.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. All our futures are at stake, and I have children, and you know what? I want to make sure that there's something, or there's some, I want to, I want peace. You know what I'm saying? And right now, it's not looking like that right now, and it's sometimes trade wars are actually worse than physical wars. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Hands down. I mean, let's face it. I don't think we'd ever go to war with the U.S. That's silly. They're our biggest ally. But quite frankly, Trump isn't stupid. Trump knows he has all the cards. And the worst part about it, Trump also knows that our prime minister is not qualified, is not a businessman. He is every bit of lucky sperm, as I like to say. And quite frankly, the silver spoon in his mouth, the guy never has to work another day in his life.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
So, that's my opinion. You asked, I told you.
So, someone in the comments is saying steel tariffs are already causing pain here. What do you think, Steve?
Well, steel pipe. got hit with tariffs, and it's not good. So the steel workers and stuff like that are really getting hit hard, especially the condo developments in terms of their precast construction and all that other stuff is going to get hit even harder, and it's going to be passed on to the consumer. The best thing we can do is make a deal with the Americans, with Donald Trump, do what we need to do, and be done with it. I mean, look what the Prime Minister did in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
He did exactly what he needed to do. He was already voted in, okay, and he's got obviously his term, so on and so forth. If he didn't do what he did, Mexico would be in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of trouble.
Okay.
So, do you think they're going to get it done, Mike? Do you honestly think NAFTA is going to go through?
You know what? NAFTA was a problem in the beginning when we lost all our jobs to Mexico.
Right.
And it hasn't benefited the small person. The small man hasn't benefited off it. So you don't get free trade, Steve, if you buy something from America. You actually have to pay tariffs on it. So it doesn't affect... It only affects the big corporations, and it affects the major exporters, right? It's got to go through for the big sectors of Canada. If it doesn't go through, the little guy's just going to have to pay more on tariffs with everything that comes in.
Right.
So...
Okay.
That's just going to happen. You're going to have to just pay more. The auto sector, I mean, we lose parts of the auto sector. A lot of them will just relocate to the United States, right?
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Mike, you should really pull up the article on BNN Bloomberg. Peter MacKay, our former foreign affairs minister, really smart guy, sharp cookie. I really like this guy. He's an awesome guy. I've met him a couple of times. Really sharp. Not like I've had lunch with him or anything, but it's just hearing him speak, so on and so forth. He's very sharp.
Peter MacKay, NAFTA talks to continue well into the new year. Yeah, I see him here. He's got a lot of articles up here. He's on BNN a lot. Yeah. He's up here. He's discusses how Minister Freeland adding new items to Canada's NAFTA wish list might impact trade negotiations. He also tells BNN why he believes NAFTA talks are likely to continue well into the new year. Yeah. You know what? If I was Donald Trump and NAFTA was giving us the short end of the stick, I wouldn't want it in my country either. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Because on paper, if you look at NAFTA, the whole, 966-page document of NAFTA.
Okay.
I don't know if it's 600 pages. I'm not sure how big it is. But it's written in a way where you don't understand what the hell is going on. And not only that, it's a really bad deal for the U.S. It really is.
Right.
So, I don't know. I'm just letting you know on a business perspective that it is not a good deal for the U.S. I mean, I you know what I could see? I know what I see happening in the next 5 to 10 years? The Amero dollar.
I heard about that. Yeah, that's actually very interesting.
Yeah, I think the United States, Canada, and Mexico will unite to combat the euro and to combat any increasing and I just think the Amero would be better because then if you have one bigger GDP and one bigger exp, you know what I'm saying? I think it will benefit, but it's another step towards the New World Order, Agenda 21, unifying the currency, one global currency. I just think that it's going to be a step towards losing our sovereignty, but I think we've lost our sovereignty to foreign investors anyway.
Oh, it's long gone.
Yeah.
Absolutely long gone. And in the event that NAFTA were to get ripped up, which I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think a deal is going to come by Friday. I doubt that highly, but I could be wrong. I think we will see Donald Trump basically follow through on auto tariffs. I don't think the auto tariffs will stick around for too long. because our drama teacher is going to have to basically go there and get on his hands and knees and give everything he possibly can to Donald Trump. Because let's face it, if NAFTA does get ripped up, and you know, people are saying, well, what do we do now? Now we got to go and we got to make everything. We got to start, you know, tooling up and doing what we do here, so on and so forth. Keep in mind, 2020, Donald Trump will more than likely not be in office. But you know what? If he is, then he's got another 4 years, and then he's basically done, correct?
Yes, that's correct. 2 terms.
So he's gonna. Let's say he goes 2 full terms. That's basically 5 years, or call it 5. You know, roughly about 5 years, 5.5 years, give or take. And in 5.5 years, how many production facilities can we go ahead and start? First, we're going to go through a massive recession in Canada.
Yeah.
And then Canada's going to have to start printing money and start giving incentives to people to start manufacturing things here. We're going to have to sell our souls even further to China to get what we need to get. And quite frankly, you're not going to see an American car on Canadian soil. So that's basically going to go right down the tube.
Yeah.
So that recession's going to last 2 to 3 years minimum before, you know, things start to turn around. And then all of a sudden, people are going to start tooling up, doing this, doing that, and then Trump is gone. Trump is erased from the equation. And then hopefully somebody else comes in with a better level head, and we have a better, different government and a different leader in Canada. And then we can actually get a proper deal done. Regardless of if it's in favor of Canada or the U.S., it should be mutually beneficial in one way or another.
Yeah. I mean, they're number one trading partner. We share a 5,400-kilometer border with them. I mean, there's got to be some sort of collaboration between the two countries. Most definitely. I just hope, you know, Trudeau could actually pull up his socks and look sharp and actually make it count for once. You know. Hey, what did you think of the article I read today? A lot of people were really mad when I read that article.
What article was that, Mike?
Oh, a lot of people. The one where everyone was freaking out in the comments section. Here, let me pull up my YouTube. I'll get it for you here. Let me go to my channel. I'll tell you what it is right now in a sec. Everyone was freaking out. It's on the Rants and Lifestyle. Oh wow, did they take it down? No. Federal report calls for special treatment of immigrants. So they're trying to pass a law in Canada where Canadian companies have to hire immigrants, and then they'll be subsidized by the government.
Oh boy.
Yeah, federal report calls for special treatment of immigrants. I read that one today. That was on the Toronto Sun news.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people here that are in the comments section right now that are commented on this video here. So a lot of people are upset about that. You know, how could we put faith in a government that doesn't take care of their own people? That's the question.
Well, that's the whole thing. Trudeau is nothing but a bleeding heart and an extreme feminist, and he thinks that's great. And he's actually helping out everybody but his own people. And, I mean, the amount of money that he's forking out to these refugees and asylum seekers, you know what? I get it. They're down and out. But you know what? We're also down and out.
Yeah.
We have a huge problem with mental illness.
Oh, you know what where the mental illness is coming from? It comes with the plastics and the oxidants and the crap that they put in the plastics and reusable, microwavable shit. The Frankenstein food we eat. That's where mental illness is thriving from. The metals in our water, you know?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Not to mention the opioid crisis.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Pharma companies, it's never been this bad. The pharma companies are getting rich. They're pushing these drugs. They never pushed these drugs 20, 30 years ago. We didn't have this crisis. Everybody knows where it's coming from. In actual fact, I'm pretty sure I heard through the grapevine today, you can confirm this or not, but I think BC is actually suing a few pharmaceutical companies due to the opioid crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Can somebody in the comment section confirm that? I might have heard that on BNN. I'm not sure. In actual fact, I'll go to BNN right now. Kevin Thompson, yes. Okay, so he's confirming that did happen. I think it was on BNN. Yeah, there we go, BNN.
Yeah, BC's opioid makers for negligence and corruption about addiction risks.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, there are so many problems that we need to sort out on our own, and I think we need to, really, really address the homeless situation. I mean, these people are getting better treatment than Canadians that, for all intents and purposes, once upon a time actually supported this economy.
Yep, that actually contributed to the infrastructure.
Absolutely. So, if Trudeau wants to continue on this path, and I think he's into it so much, then, you know what, quite frankly, people need to ask themselves, what do they truly want? Because someone is going to have to pay the piper at the end of the day, and I'm almost positive, and you can pretty much, bank on this, dollars to donuts, that these immigrants and these asylum seekers and refugees, they are not going to make this economy better. They are basically consuming and consuming and consuming. They're not giving anything back. And that's what really is the issue. And I do believe there was some funding announced in terms of what Trudeau's going to do, or how much additional money he's going to fork out for these people. And, people in the comment section or anybody listening to this, you can disagree, but quite frankly, I'd love to know why you disagree, and I'm pretty sure all it does is come down to that you're also a bleeding heart.
Yeah. Do you remember that video I did about people, far left people, basically wanting to destabilize and become social, and then socialists as it leads to Marxism, and then Marxism leads to communism?
Okay.
Because they want to be on the social grid, as opposed to, I produce 1,000 water tanks a day, but my neighbor only produces one a day, but he wants to have what I have without working for it.
Oh, for sure.
And that's what the left is. The left wants what I have, basically, but not work for it.
Well, it's interesting. I suggest everybody go ahead and take a look. And you brought her up today. She is running for the mayor in Toronto.
Goldie, Faith Goldie.
Faith Goldie. She's a beauty, and she is quite beautiful. But anyhow, in terms of a person, she is fantastic. She's got quite the YouTube channel. She's been banned from one or more different online outlets.
Yeah, she's got a media blackout.
Yep. And she's gone to task, and, I think her Patreon account has been suspended as well.
Oh,
So,
for sure. That's usually how it works.
Yeah, she's doing what she can, and she is a brilliant mind. She speaks, and shoots right from the hip, and I really, really like her.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. In actual fact, I was planning on donating some money to her campaign to see where that would go. But the problem is, without her getting media exposure or anything else, I don't know how much of a chance she has. I really wish the media would pick up on it and, start talking to her and doing this and doing that, and really truly embracing free speech instead of just, just playing the game.
2 or 3 people have contacted her to come on my show, but the thing is, I'm a really small fry, right? So they said, one person said, "Oh, she'd come on your show." I'm like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because I want to give Faith Goldie a chance to defend herself against that bull crap Wikipedia article about her. I don't know if you saw it, and it's a lockdown article, so no one could edit it, and it was written obviously by the left, calling her a neo-Nazi, a Zionist, and all that stuff."
Right.
A neo-Nazi, sorry, a neo-Nazi, what do they call her? A neo-Nazi, anti-Zion, whatever it is. And, yeah, so it's a lockdown article, and I want to give her a chance. I want to give her a chance to actually defend herself on that article, because I don't believe Wikipedia, especially on a lockdown article. It's a bunch of crap. And One Man's Way sent me $10 in contributions. Buddy, thank you so much. Thank you so much for keeping this, for keeping me awake, because I'm getting tired. I've been speaking for 3.5 hours straight, and only took one washroom break. Yeah, One Man's Donation keeps donating money to me, man. I appreciate that, man. And my wife said, "Take donations, put a tip jar, do it." And she's like, and I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "Well, you put so much time into your channel, even though you don't, you deserve some sort of, you know what I'm saying? You deserve something. Even if it's $5 someone sends you, at least you know you've earned that, you know?"
Yeah, I agree. I think that, I think your wife is right. Absolutely right. Getting back to the whole Faith Goldie thing, I really hope she gets the the publicity that she deserves.
Well, it's a huge media blackout on her. So I got a lot of people watching me in Toronto, and it's really good that because I have a lot of people watching me in Australia, New Zealand, UK. It's good that they kind of understand through me what's happening in Toronto, right? So then this way she could get her story out to other English-speaking countries, so they could see the media blackout on her, just like they did on Ron Paul. Ron Paul would have been president 2 terms ago if they didn't have a media blackout on him.
I agree with that, absolutely. And Faith Goldie, actually, believe it or not, they tried to spin it that she was in cahoots with the Toronto Police Service. She had a YouTube video, and I saw it the other day, and I kind of agree with her approach, and she really truly stuck it to them.
Yep,
and
I saw the video.
Was it Toronto Sun or Toronto Star that pulled that fast one?
I think it was the Sun.
It was the Sun.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it was. Hold on, let me double check here. So and then when you go to like, this is disgusting. So she has a lockdown article. I got it right here. It's locked down, so there's a lock there. So that means nobody is allowed to change this article. So it sticks. So it says, Faith Julia Goldie is a Canadian political commentator and controversial reporter. Goldie's views has been described as far-right and white nationalist and neo-Nazi.
I'm pretty sure she's got a hell of a lot of Jewish friends.
Yeah. So I'm telling you as a friend, Steve, I don't like this. And I don't like when they lock down an article like that on somebody and make them look like the biggest criminal on the planet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and there's something, I don't know, I'm not high tech, by any way, shape, or form, but she had said something along those lines where her competition or something along those lines can actually pay somebody to, spoof IPs and, make piles and piles of corrections and submissions. Every hour there's, 300 submissions, so on and so forth. And it's the equivalent of me going on to yellowpages.ca or Google pay-per-click ads and sitting there and bankrupting my competition by clicking and then changing my IP and then clicking again and clicking again and clicking again. It's the dog-eat-dog world, and, my hat's off to her for doing what she needs to do. I just wish there was some way we could get her voice heard.
I'll do my best. Every video I bring up now, I always bring her up now, no matter what, even if it doesn't relate to what I'm saying. I just bring her up. And then One Man's Way in the comments is saying it's because she is a threat. That's right. Anyone that becomes a threat to the establishment automatically becomes a racist.
Yeah, I mean, I was called a racist by a family member because I voted for Dougie Ford.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
people are throwing that term around, you know, that you're a racist far, far, far too loosely these days.
But it doesn't.
You know,
being called a racist means zero. It has no pretense anymore because everyone's a racist now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. What's the point? Oh, you're racist. Okay, thank you. Oh, whatever. Call me whatever you want because I don't know what to say. You're constantly called a racist or a neo-Nazi when you're not. What are they going to do? They're going to call you a relative of Hitler after?
Yeah, I guess that's very true. But yeah, if Faith Goldie is listening to this transmission, it would be great to get her live on the show. She's a brilliant mind, and she knows her stuff, and she speaks and shoots from the hip, like I said. Mm-hmm. And it is refreshing, but a lot of people don't share her views because they're very, very much so liberals.
Yeah. Yeah. But Steve, don't people want ownership anymore? Don't people want to build? Don't people want to build their lives and create ownership and then exchange they reap what they sow and exchange what they made and create more ownership and build? I mean, don't people want that?
I think people they're so set in their ways, and people are becoming robots, and people are not branching out, and they're just kind of sort of keeping to themselves, and they don't want hysteria. They don't want any bullshit, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
They truly just see no evil, hear no evil, everything is fine. They don't realize what the ramifications are of how many this illegal border crossing, what that's actually doing, what that actually costs Canada as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if anybody actually saw it or not, but Trudeau and his security team,
yeah,
they manhandled that woman in Quebec, and she was very polite. She just answered a simple question, and because he didn't want to answer it, your racism has no place here, he said in French and all this other stuff. She's not being racist. She's asking a valid question. You're letting all these people in. Who the heck is going to pay for all this?
We are.
Yeah. And he didn't want to answer it. He did not want to answer it. He opened up the floodgate. He did what he needed to do. Trump closed them, and he says, y'all, you're more than welcome to come here. Well, you know what? Everybody was listening because everybody's coming here.
Yep.
Faith Goldie did some live to air, literally went to the border crossing and saw all these things happen and reported on them. And, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Kevin Thompson, it's un-Canadian, Steve. Well, you know what, buddy? I'd love for you to tell me what Canadian really means.
Yeah, what is Canadian? What is it? 30 years ago I could have told you what it was, but now things are changing. Things are changing, and then the thing is, they want to dismantle ownership. They want to dismantle the right to create wealth. They want a socialist way where it's socialized, where everybody gets a handout, or somebody gets what I get but didn't work for it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you talk to any immigrant that came here 10, 15, 20, 50 years ago.
Yeah, including myself.
Nothing was given to them.
Nothing. Zero.
They had to work their butt off.
Yeah. My parents worked their butts off to pay their house off in 5 years. And then they worked and they bought a car, and then they worked and you know what I'm saying? They worked, man. They worked.
Absolutely. Just in the Greater Toronto area, the Italian and Portuguese immigrants, boy oh boy, they came in here Some of them actually went out and got a trade, did what they needed to do. And a lot of them did, you know, concrete, masonry, brickwork, whatever you want to call it, hard labor.
My
you know, paid
dad,
off their house.
Yeah, my dad did.
Raised a family.
My dad, yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
I just said my dad did that. My dad worked hard. My mom worked hard. They worked hard to provide a good life for me, you know, like to make sure that I wasn't going to be left behind, right?
Yeah, and that's what they did. And, you know, they chose to come here for a better life. And, oh boy, what they did for society and what they built. And, you know, they did some great things. And now they're coming over here and they're being spoon-fed. They're being put up in hotels. They're harassing the hotel employees. You know, I know somebody, you know, that actually went to a hotel for a service call. And Mike, they're peeing on the floor. Like, they're just disgusting.
I heard about that in the stairways, or pooing in the stairways, the emergency exits.
Absolutely. They're smoking wherever they want to smoke. They're not playing by the rules. And all they care about is how much money they're getting. And all they complain about is, oh, they deserve this, they deserve that. It's a false sense of entitlement. And you know what? I can't even really truly blame them 150%, because the false entitlement came from our Prime Minister. He created this problem. He started this. And you know what? Regrettably, we're going to have to finish it, and we're going to have to deal with it. Not Trudeau.
So you think the Conservative Party has a chance, or what?
Well, they do, but this Andrew Scheer guy, I haven't heard a lot from him.
No, this guy's nobody. This guy's a nobody. He's not going to change conservative views. Don't worry about it.
The problem is, I don't know that the Conservatives have the right person in place. Oddly enough, if I'm not saying, you know, that guy Max Vernier or whatever the heck his name is, I'm not saying he's the be-all and end-all. But if we wanted the Conservative Party to actually win, let's face it, we need Quebec. We need to win Quebec.
Yeah.
And him being a Frenchman, he had the ability to win Quebec. And he lost to Scheer, and that's all fine and dandy. But rightfully so. I mean, you know what, Scheer? If Scheer doesn't win, he's got to step aside. They need to put in a proper party leader. And for God's sake, it's not Doug Ford. Doug Ford has his work cut out for him. You know, and he's doing a lot of great things. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But we need a solid individual to really, truly represent the Conservative Party if we stand a chance. I don't know that Scheer is going to win. I really don't know. I mean, I like him. I think he's good. But he's been a mouse. Like, I haven't heard anything from him.
Yeah.
You know, I really, really, truly wish he'd grow a pair of balls, Mike.
Everybody needs to. I think a lot of our administration needs to do that, to be honest with you. I think our entire administration we have right now needs to grow a pair of cojones, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway, Steve, I'm falling asleep here. I've been on the air for 3 hours and 43 minutes and 3 seconds.
Well, Mike, thanks for the chat. I'm sorry I couldn't call in earlier.
That's okay. No big deal. Well, I'm going to get someone on the show tomorrow. Someone that's running.
Is it Maobi or whatever? Yeah. How do you pronounce that guy's name?
He's going to be on the show tomorrow. We'll ask him, and I think he's running for city council somewhere.
In Toronto?
I think so, and we'll find out what his platform is and what he's doing.
Okay, that's cool. Is that his real last name? Hargo?
I don't know. I never go off what anybody's names are anymore on... he just commented right now. I'll be there. Yes. Yeah. But I never go by anybody's names there, and it could just be a name they just threw on there just to have a name up there, right?
No, apparently he's going by his real first and last name. Mr. Hargo, where are you? I know you want to sign off, Mike, but maybe in the comment section you can tell us where exactly your riding is. I'm hoping it's somewhere in Toronto or something.
Yeah, and then we get him on the show and find out what his platform is about, what he has to offer, what he can offer, what he's trying to fix, or what he's trying to bring to the table.
Then again, I hope he's not in Toronto, because I think
he's in York Center.
Okay, York Center. Yeah, I know that Doug Ford's gone ahead and kind of sort of kiboshed this next election here in terms of removing those positions. So I'm not sure if that directly reflects his situation or not. But yeah, York Center. I'm going to look this guy up, and I look forward to hearing him on the show tomorrow night.
Yeah, around 6:30 Western time, so it's like 9:30, 10 p.m. his time. I should have him on. I should be okay to do it. I don't have anything pressing tomorrow, so. Okay.
Sounds good. Very well then. I will let you go, Mike. It's always a pleasure, and thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you so much, Steve. God bless.
Cheers.
Okay, guys, it's time for me to I got people messaging me here. Holy crap. Okay, yeah. So, guys, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go see if my kids are sleeping yet. I gotta put them to bed. It's 10:25. Good night, everybody. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. And if you get a chance, make sure you vote for Faith Goldie if you're in the Toronto area. Hopefully, I could get her on my show, and give her a chance to defend herself against that bullcrap Wikipedia. Anytime you see that on Wikipedia, you know these people are working for the people, So, thank you everybody for joining. If you stuck around for the 3 hours and 46 minutes, thank you very much. Have a good night.